All right, guys, let's shift gears. We're going to do this new Turkey Tom vegan gains video. What an honor to get a whole entire video dedicated to you. Beautiful stuff, incredible stuff. He must be feeling pretty proud about it. Personally, I would just react to a video like that of myself. Double dipping, I would call it. But it sounds pretty cool, especially since people have been complaining because, oh, you've been doing too much this content, too much that content. Bro, I'm just shifting with the wind, baby. Anyway, let's go.
Is Richard. My name is Richard.
This is loud.
Last name Burgess.
I'm a sadist. I enjoy hurting people.
My YouTube channel's
That's
Vegan
not nice.
Gains. I'm a vegan animal rights activist.
The only use I can see getting out of you is cutting your fucking skin.
I think the first time I was ever introduced to vegan gains was because of Jason Genova. I'm pretty sure there was something to do with Jason Genova. I don't know if you know who that is. If you don't, that's a good thing. You probably don't want to know who Jason Genova is. He's probably one of the greatest bodybuilders of all time, though. But I think that's when I think that was actually when I first started seeing him stuff.
And turning you into my new fucking wall.
And that's what most of my content centers around, but I also do health and fitness and political stuff and social issues.
I just want to put my foot through the fucking thing and step on it until it's nothing but blood and pulp on the fucking
Enjoy the man.
pavement. Got a sack of potatoes here. Do potatoes contain corn? You would make me fucking feel a hell of a lot better, you piece of shit. Yeah, but that doesn't
Glad the
This guy's a little crazy. This guy's a little intense, dude. Jesus.
guy's dead. One less animal abuser left alive.
True, I
Tell me where the
guess.
fucking corn is.
Wow. It's crazy. Okay.
It's hard to find a group more universally mocked than vegans. If you
Furries.
look almost anywhere on social media, you'll probably come across some sort of meme or video poking fun at them. And for good reason, because a lot of these dudes are pretty funny.
Ain't nothing like a good salad. I said, ain't nothing like a good salad.
True. I wouldn't know, though, personally. I'm not a big fan of salad. Would you tell?
Hey, I'm vegan.
Many people see them
Nice.
as pretentious overreactors to a relatively trivial issue. Groups like PETA haven't helped this reputation.
Yeah, I mean, listen, in their defense, it does feel that way. But I mean, to them, it's like you're killing a living being. But they would prefer if you killed living beans. Huh? That was a really good vegan joke. That was a beautiful joke. I like that. Was a clean joke. I think I might post that as a TikTok. Anyway. And so to them, it's like, oh, you're literally killing something living when we don't have to. And like, maybe we don't have to. At least in the first world, in the Western world, we can do alternatives, depending on your financial access. But also, I enjoy Spam. So I'm going to keep eating it.
in any way, and have actually done the opposite from what they regularly post on social media and what they've done outside of social media, like abducting people's dogs. Vegan YouTubers, to their credit, have worked to challenge and dismantle the prevailing narrative that's built up that vegans are annoying over the years. One man trying to spread the vegan lifestyle is Richard Burgess, also known online as Vegan Gains. Richard has gained quite a reputation over the years for his unwavering dedication to promoting a vegan lifestyle. His
is that,
journey
a
into the
wee-wee?
world of veganism began
Looks like a knife. Maybe with some peanut butter on it?
back in 2015.
Maybe he likes dogs.
And since then, he's gone to great lengths to showcase the advantages of this dietary choice, albeit sometimes employing rather unconventional methods.
I fucking hate children. They
Based. I like this guy.
literally make me sick. When I see babies
True.
in a commercial, I start to gag and almost throw up, and I have to look away and mute it.
From laughing at his
Oh,
grandfather
that's-
dying of a heart attack, to getting
What?
into actual real-life confrontations with other vegan YouTubers, supposedly making fun of a kid who was dying of cancer, and even having short feuds with massive creators like Leafy, GradeAUnderA, Onision, and Moist Critical.
Sounds like he's looking for a little bit of that attention by beefing with creators, you know? Okay, cool.
It's fair to say he's an abrasive personality.
Did you see Andrew Tate is claiming to have lung cancer now? Hopefully.
As a result of this, many have called Vegan Gains a clout chaser, someone who starts drama with larger
based-
creators with the sole purpose of getting attention for his own selfish gain. They say he makes vegans look bad as a
His
whole.
own selfish vegan gains.
They say his crude, distasteful humor, even going to the point of mocking the recently deceased because they ate meat, is bad. But I've
Jesus.
always found Vegan Gains fascinating despite the outrage. Thankfully, Richard himself agreed to meet up with me and answer any questions I may have about his controversies and
that's
his life.
fun.
So today, join me as I take a never-before-seen look at his
Oh, he's talking to the guy? Okay, interesting.
past to see how he may have ended up the way he is today. We're going to take a deep dive inside the mind of the internet's most psychotic vegan.
So, how you feeling? Good. It's 11 a.m. in the morning. We're currently on our way to Best Buy to pick up.
Bro, listen, I can't stand it when people say 11 a.m. in the morning or a.m. in the morning. A.m. means at morning time, dude. Just say 11 a.m. All right. What are you doing?
Have some stuff because today we are meeting with Psychotic vegan YouTuber Vegan Gains. Probably like the most infamous vegan on the internet. I can't really think of anyone who comes close. Honestly, I can't even think of any other vegans online. He's really just him. And I'm honestly kind of nervous to hang out with him today because he said he was down for a video and like that's all good. Like he's down for collabs and stuff. Apparently he hasn't done very many of them. But he says crazy stuff. I asked him about meat eaters and like what he would do if it was legal to kill them, and he was like, "Yeah, I mean, if it was legal, I would probably kill meat eaters, to be honest with you."
How was that like the perfect Vegan Gains imitation there? That was a little wild. It's kind of impressive, actually.
You know, like there'd just be nothing stopping me from bashing their fucking heads in.
Jesus.
And I was like, "Oh."
I feel like though, if it was like legal to kill people in general, we probably wouldn't have any vegans anymore because they're so annoying. We would just kill them, no? So I feel like that wouldn't really work out. But okay.
Okay. We're in that kind of territory, I guess. So I don't know. I'm a little nervous personally. Like he might, you know, cave my head in like a coconut or something. Do I know that's gonna happen? No. But yeah, definitely a little nervous. So.
And as always, keep in mind, I don't necessarily endorse or support any opinions expressed by Vegan Gains. This video has been created for entertainment, education, and comedy purposes.
There's a warning beforehand. It must be pretty bad. Okay.
Only. Thank you. Much of what we know about Vegan Gains' early life comes from his own mouth. That being said, given a lot of the information he shared doesn't exactly paint him in a positive light, I'm willing to believe his stories. Richard Burgess was born in 1991 in Canada. These formative years were marred by an atmosphere that he himself describes as somewhat hostile. The primary reason for this was his parents' relentless obsession with his involvement in hockey. His parents were extremely committed to making sure he had a strict training regimen. The weight of this expectation bore heavily on his shoulders, creating immense pressure for a young boy. The intensity of that obsession would lead them to shame and humiliate him, especially when he didn't perform.
Damn, did he have Asian parents, dude? That's crazy. Fucking over hockey? I mean, I've heard about being a doctor and stuff, but over fucking hockey, they're that elitist? All right, well, you know what, whatever.
Up to their lofty standards, or if his team suffered a loss on the ice. Richard recalls the uncomfortable car rides home, marked by their angry tirades, where they would berate him with scathing criticisms, accusing him of playing poorly and insinuating that he should feel ashamed for me.
That's terrible, but maybe he also sucked at the game, you know what I mean? Like, maybe he was just bad at the game. Maybe that's why they were so mean to him all the time. I mean, you know, it's not right to ever do that to your kid, but if your kid sucks, what are you supposed to do?
Really attempting to try to play hockey. Richard has also said he had asthma as a child, and he attributes this to potentially being the reason why. It's rumored that the ice rinks he would constantly play on actually had ammonia spilling out of the fridges, which could have killed him. Sometimes as a child while riding his bike, Richard would start choking profusely and eventually collapse before passing out. He would wake up soon after and barely remember anything, and the doctors would subsequently diagnose him with asthma.
I think that it's probably the meat. Probably the meat was killing him, and he didn't even realize it.
These recollections of his family life in those early years are far from fond memories. Instead, they represent the lowest point in his childhood, a period marked by his family fighting and emotional hardship. There were small benefits, though. He recognizes that enduring such harsh criticism and relentless pressure may have inadvertently equipped him with the ability to deal with criticism in the future and overcome any obstacle. These early lessons in resilience.
Maybe, you know, it's interesting. I told my wife about that. I'm like, you know, does bullying actually help in some capacity because you learn to deal with criticism? And she's like, well, it could, or maybe you just would learn to deal with it in a more healthy way. And it's like, oh, you know what? That's a good point too. You know, maybe you could just have a better relationship with criticism and you can just learn about it in a different, more productive way, or how to deal with it in a more productive way. Because, you know, it seems like people who are the most obnoxious seem to have gotten bullied on the, you know, and then people who maybe didn't get bullied and have better coping mechanisms, they just don't care. Maybe they just don't respond to the criticism. Because it's like, oh, I know it's just people being dickheads. So I don't know. But I guess, you know, whatever.
Would prove invaluable as he started making online content, where the YouTube comment section can be just as unforgiving as the ice rink.
Yeah, I got into, like, it's a pretty hostile environment growing up. I had some pretty crazy hockey parents. I had to do a lot of training, had a lot of pressure on me, and if I, like, just didn't play well, I was kind of, like, shamed and humiliated by my parents.
Like in front of other kids, how would they shame you?
No, it was usually, like, in the car ride home, just for, like, in straight
It's interesting to see Turkey Tom, like, expand his content and to kind of, like, change it and even, like, mature it in different ways. It's pretty impressive, honestly.
Or them saying like I played like shit. There's no point in them like supporting me playing anymore because I suck, like, you know, that sort of crap.
Do you feel bad about that? Do you think it gave you a thick skin? Do you appreciate your upbringing, or?
No, that was definitely not a good thing.
Not a good thing.
Yeah.
Do you think it shaped how you are now?
Well, yeah,
I'm
of
sure
course.
to some degree. I think I tolerate a lot of things pretty well because of my upbringing.
Like talk online?
Yeah, like talk online.
During the formative years of his life, Richard would start attending school and immediately stood out from your typical kid. He often characterizes himself as an autistic kid, a label that in many ways set him apart from the rest of his peers. In the social ecosystem of his school...
I mean, he's actually autistic. Is he actually autistic, or is that just kind of the way that he speaks? Because everybody makes fun of people like in different spheres and they call each other autistic and stuff.
He was definitely an oddball. However,
Nowadays, though, they call you acoustic on TikTok. They'll just say that you're acoustic. It's very interesting.
It's worth noting that he wasn't friendless. He was fortunate enough to have a small but loyal group of friends who stuck by his side. These friends, he would later reflect, were part of the reason he made it through high school. Yet, despite the solace he found in his close-knit circle, he couldn't escape frequent clashes with other students and teachers. These conflicts, in his own words, may have been trivial at times, but he couldn't help but wonder if they were tinged with discrimination due to his Somali heritage. One vivid memory etched into his mind was of a teacher who, in his own words, bore an uncanny resemblance to the fat lady who replaced Mr. Garrison in South Park. His words, not mine. This particular teacher appeared to single Richard out, seemingly for no discernible reason, leading him to wonder whether his...
Maybe he liked them. I mean, listen, you know what they say about, overweight white women and black guys? It's like a moth to a flame. So maybe that's what it was.
Ethnicity played a
very
role
inappropriate.
In his
That's a teacher.
The
Power
tribulations he
dynamic.
faced were not limited to his interactions with teachers, though. In the theater of classroom dynamics, there existed a recurrent antagonist named David. David, though physically smaller, seemed to derive perverse pleasure from tormenting Richard. He engaged in a relentless campaign of small-scale bullying, stealing Richard's pencil case and subjecting him to incessant taunts. In this distressing situation, Richard found himself seeking recourse from authority figures in his life, his teachers and parents, but he didn't receive very much support. This betrayal of trust left Richard feeling even more isolated, and the injustice weighed heavily on his shoulders.
I was like the autistic kid who was weird, had few friends,
Like, what is he, self-diagnosed? He keeps saying he's autistic. Okay.
but they were quality friends. I really butted heads with teachers a lot. Didn't usually have too many problems with students, but teachers got into a lot of fight with teachers. A lot of petty stuff. I think I've had some...
Does he have like an issue with authority? I guess maybe it's because he resents his parents so much as authority figures that he just starts to resent teachers as well. Or maybe it's some kind of attempt to take back control from some kind of authoritative figure in some capacity. I don't know, man. I don't know. Maybe he's goading his parents that were overly critical of him into being more critical of him, saying, I don't care anymore, Mom. Who knows?
Racist teachers.
Really?
Because they seem to have picked on me specifically.
Okay.
There was one teacher in grade 4, I think her name was Miss... She...
Maybe you're just kind of an asshole. I mean, listen, it's possible as a teacher was racist, but also possible that you're just kind of a dick kid. So they're just fucking with you more. I don't know. Anything's possible, you know what I mean? Anything is possible.
It really looked like that teacher from South Park, the fat ugly chick that replaced Mr. Garrison.
Yeah, okay.
She would kind of single me out in class. Like if anybody was talking, if it would always be me that got told to shut up. And there was this kid named David in the class, white kid.
Damn,
he would tease
David.
me and stuff, and he tried to bully me, but he was way smaller. He would just try to bully me, but because he was smaller, he had to do stupid steal stuff from me,
It's got that Napoleon complex, you know?
steal my pencil case. He would lie to the teacher and say that it was his stuff that he was stealing, and then the teacher would always side with him. Yeah, I almost killed him.
The catalyst for this incident can be traced back to an ordinary
Did you? Or what the fuck?
school.
Kind of reminds me of that guy that was from Mad TV that was on the Joe Rogan show. He's like, I used to be bullied in high school or whatever, and now I'd kill a person if they bullied me. And they're just like, you have too many friends that let you get away with saying crazy shit like that, you know? You know what I mean?
Day in the fourth grade. At his school, a buddy system was in place, a practice designed to ensure the safety of students during various tasks. It was on this way that Richard was assigned an unexpected partner, none other than his tormentor, David.
Oh,
Their mission was
shit.
to retrieve files from the principal's office. Together, they ventured out of the classroom and ascended a staircase within the school building, a towering 4-story structure. As they neared a railing, tension hung heavily in the air, a palpable undercurrent of animosity that had been building for far too long.
That's a
In a
beautiful
shocking
story.
turn of events, Richard's pent-up anger erupted. So he grabbed David and basically hung him over the railing while he pled for his life. Thankfully, Richard's better...
I guess I was wrong. I guess he really would kill him. Jesus Christ. Oh my
judgment
lord.
prevailed, and he decided not to let him go. The realization that he could face serious consequences or even imprisonment brought him back to his senses. With a sudden release, he let go of David, allowing him to escape from the brink of tragedy. Remarkably, David chose to keep this traumatic incident to himself, a silence that probably came out of fear and a
Maybe David's a real one and he just doesn't, he ain't no snitch, you know?
deep-seated apprehension of Richard.
So if someone really fucks with you, you do get genuinely homicidal rage potentially.
Yeah, I think I had a lot less control over my anger when I was a kid. So yeah, when I was really young, and again, your frontal lobe isn't developed when you're that age, so I could really easily just go off on people.
And this wasn't even the only incident like this. In another instance, Richard almost killed him again. The backdrop for this particular encounter was supposedly a school project about Native Americans, a topic that piqued Richard's curiosity at the age of 6. His fascination with archery, an art he had recently begun to explore, became a pivotal factor in this.
I used to love archery too, dude. I used to do it so much in the Boy Scouts. I was a pretty good archer. You'd think that's not true because I have glasses, but I was pretty good. I liked it a lot, and I just never pursued it. We got guns now anyway. What's the point?
Unfolding drama. When this event actually occurred, he was 9 years old. In a decision that would prove to be very ill-fated, Richard decided to bring his bow and arrow to school for the Native American project.
What the
Little
fuck?
did he know that this prop would become a symbol of his escalating anger and frustration. It was during a moment of pure rage that he drew back an arrow, taking careful aim at David. His desire, as he admitted to me...
Why did they let him take that into school? Maybe it's because he's older and it was back in the day before before, you know, any of the crazy stuff, before shootings are really prevalent. Because I don't know, man. Like there was a kid in my school who tried to shoot up a school and they didn't do anything about it. But that was like before the old Columbine and stuff.
Was for David to see his death coming. This marked a second occasion during which Richard had threatened David's life. However, as before, legal consequences loomed large in his mind. The realization that he could face incarceration and the profound moral implications of taking a life led him to relent once more, sparing David from the brink of disaster.
Do we believe this? Like, I don't know, man. Can I hear David's side of the story? Because I feel like this seems like a little bit of tall tales from a short guy. You know what I mean? What are you talking about? You almost killed the guy. Archer, you brought a whole bow and arrow. A bow and arrows to school, because it's a bow, really not a bow. A bow and arrow. It's a bow and arrows. You brought multiple arrows to school. That's crazy. I don't know if I believe that. I think I don't believe that.
Aftermath of this incident left David undoubtedly shaken, perhaps nursing not only a profound fear of his fellow classmate, but also a metaphorical fear of shitting his pants.
I did archery since I was like pretty young, like probably around like maybe 6, 7, 8 years old, something like that. And there was like this class project thing with Native Americans and pilgrims and shit. And this is pre 9/11, so
yeah, dude, that was pretty wild though. You saw that triple kill, dude?
Things were more lax, you know. So I brought the bow and arrow as part of my like Native American character, and I had actual arrows. So I just knocked an arrow. I was gonna just shoot him because, like, again, I don't like him. I wanted him to see his death coming, so he wasn't paying attention.
Imagine a school getting shot up by a bow and arrows. That's fucking crazy.
So you didn't do it for that reason?
Well, he wasn't paying attention, so I said, "Hey, David." So he looked over. He freaked out, and like he was like, "Oh my God, help!" And I just, like, again, just synapses in my child brain started going, and I'm like, probably go to jail for this or something.
Despite the unsettling events and instances of explosive anger that peppered his life, those around him apparently didn't readily brand him as a psychotic individual. Instead, Richard managed to foster positive relationships with some of his peers, even if he remained, in his own words, a bit weird.
Did people in your school see you as like psychotic or dangerous or anything?
No, I got along with most people.
However, it became evident that beneath the surface of this seemingly enigmatic but ultimately harmless guy to most people, there was a lot of anger. During this period, Richard grappled with a hair trigger temper, easily flaring up in confrontations. Richard himself
a hair trigger, more like a bow trigger temper. I guess it's a good thing he wasn't like a gun enthusiast, because that might have been like a bigger issue, huh? Okay.
Used this volatile disposition to the fact that his brain had not fully matured. Yet his self-analysis doesn't end there. He hints at the possibility of having autism or Asperger's, though he clarifies that he's never received an official diagnosis.
Gotcha.
Later in life, discussions with friends and even his wife hinted at suspicions that he might exhibit traits associated with these conditions. These revelations add a layer of...
I mean, who doesn't nowadays? That's the whole thing. I mean, he might have it, but also there is a weird thing where everybody just likes to pretend that they have autism and they actually think they have it. Like, obviously, if you looked at any of the diagnoses or any of the traits of like autism or ADHD, you're going to exhibit some of them. It's not about whether you have a behavior. It's about how impactful that behavior would be. It's not just having the behavior, just so people know that. It's a little more than that. So
complexity to a story, shedding light on potential underlying factors. To further complicate matters, Richard also thinks he may have ASPD, or antisocial personality disorder. ASPD is most often associated with psychopathy or sociopathy, which in turn is characterized by a lack of empathy for others. Traits that would definitely align with his behavior in childhood, and even as an adult, it makes sense. He doesn't shy away from confronting this possibility head on, acknowledging that he perceives himself as a possible sociopath.
I don't know, he probably thinks it's cool. He's probably like, yeah, I think I'm a fucking sociopath. I might also have autism, because that is pretty cool to have autism. Who wouldn't want to do that? You'd be being really good at Pokemon. I don't know, loving My Little Pony. That's cool as fuck, dude. What the hell?
But obviously, this is not an official medical diagnosis. This is just what he believes.
The way I think, like, as long as people don't get in my way, I don't care. Like, I'd rather just generally not be around too many people.
I wonder if part of this is just like he's developed a persona around being this person, and he's just like keeps playing a weird character, and maybe he doesn't know where it starts or ends, because it's just so weird.
Or associate with them. Or
maybe I'm wrong, dude.
There's some people that I think that I become friends with, but if they kind of get in my way and start fucking with me, I have no problem fucking with them.
By high school, he had already started weightlifting, resulting in a remarkable increase in muscle mass and physical stature. But this weightlifting did little to blow off steam. During this time, Richard forged a friendship with an individual he likens to the Eric Cartman of their group, a comparison that effectively described his friend as pretty much being an asshole. And I guess it's also worth noting, I think he probably likes South Park. At one point, this friend borrowed video games from Richard only to never return them. A breach of trust that left him disillusioned and feeling betrayed.
I had that issue too. I lent my friend like my PlayStation 2, I think, and they never gave it back to me. And then I was talking shit. I was like, damn, he won't give me my PlayStation back. And then he's like, oh, you want it? And they give it back to me, but he did it in a tough way. And I was like, wow. And then we stopped being friends. What a crazy story.
More, this friend displayed a callousness that extended to the mistreatment of dogs, kicking them off it. In a perplexing turn of events, Richard found himself engaged in a brutal physical confrontation with this friend. The story goes he was walking past his friend's house one day, and he spotted his friend outside, or now former friend, enjoying a cigarette near the high school. So Richard then...
Oh, that's a cool guy. In my high school, we used to have Smokers Island. I didn't smoke a cigarette. I'm not a loser, but people used to just smoke. It was like right outside the school. They don't do anything about it. Now they do. They stopped letting people do that, but it was so weird that they would let kids just smoke there and not do anything about it.
And approached him and unleashed a vicious beating.
Oh,
his explanation for
shit.
his active aggression was devoid of a specific provocation. It seemed to be a culmination of past incidents and the need to assert dominance over someone who had repeatedly pushed his limits.
Because he didn't like dogs, man.
Mentioned there was one time when you like brutally beat some kid.
Yeah.
When you were still in high school still?
Yeah, this was high school. I think I would have been about 16, 17.
Okay. And you were into lifting by
I brutally beat a kid too in high school. We were experimenting with our sexuality. So
that time?
Yeah.
Were you pretty jacked or were you trying to go more lean?
For my age, I would have been pretty jacked.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this kid, what was your beef with him? Was he your former friend or something?
Yeah, he was kind of like the Cartman of a friend group I had, and I lent him video games that he stole, and I saw him kick his dog, and then I just beat the crap out of him.
Jesus.
That's
and
crazy.
you just like confronted him outside of his house? He was just there?
He was just there smoking cigarettes, and I happened to be there, so I just beat his ass.
Damn. That's crazy. Like it wasn't like a premeditated thing you were thinking all day. You just happened to be driving by.
Yeah, I just happened to be walking by, saw him,
beat his ass and just walked away? That was it? And you felt no remorse or anything for that?
No. Think he got what he deserved.
Rich didn't try very much in high school and didn't do very well when it came to grades, but that didn't stop him from making a significant change right before his 19th birthday that would go on to pretty much define his life from there on out, going vegan. This decision to fully go vegan, he claims, was because of two main events. One of them was a near-death experience, which came from an E. coli infection that put him in the hospital due to an infection in his knee. Richard was in
wasn't E. coli from like vegetables though? Like lettuce or something?
extreme amounts of pain from this, so the doctors gave him a large dose of morphine, along with a mix of oxycodone and Percocets. Rich thinks that he took so many of these painkillers that it almost killed him. So much so that he could hear his heart stop, at which point he claims to have had an out-of-body experience where he realized the preciousness and value of life, therefore becoming extremely sensitive to animals. Despite this, one of the most interesting things about vegan gains is while he has a relatively high amount of empathy for animals, he has a very low amount of empathy for humans, especially those who are hypocrites. The second
Does that track with whatever disorder that they had said before where you effectively have no empathy? Because I feel like he has empathy then. He just doesn't like people. Does that, I mean, I don't know the diagnosis, but would that actually be in line? Like, isn't this disorder about not having empathy, about not having empathy in general, not just for people? Maybe I'm wrong, but...
incident that influenced his decision to go vegan was when his friend showed him a speech called The Most Important Speech You Will Ever Hear by Gary Yourofsky, an animal rights activist. In this speech, Gary discusses the cruelty and suffering that animals endure in the meat, dairy, and egg industries, highlighting the horrors of factory farming and animal exploitation. He argues that it is morally wrong to harm animals for human consumption when there are viable alternatives available. Gary also addresses the environmental impact of animal agriculture, emphasizing the role it plays in deforestation, greenhouse gas emissions, and resource depletion. He asserts that adopting a vegan diet can significantly
E. coli is from poop? Is that real? Oh shit, well I do like a lot of poop on my sandwich, so I guess that's why I got it.
reduce our ecological footprint. Furthermore, Yourofsky claims that there are many health benefits that come from a vegan lifestyle, citing studies that link animal products to various health issues. He promotes
Yeah, it's usually those animal... See, this is the thing, is that it's usually when people are over-consuming animal products. Like, obviously, the best diet for you is a mixture of different like animals, vegetables, etc., etc.
a plant-based diet is a way to improve personal well-being and the well-being of animals. Throughout his speech, he uses graphic imagery to engage the audience and drive home his points.
The golden rule states, do unto others as you would have done unto yourself. Animals qualify as others, and thou shalt not kill. The four most important yet most ignored words in all religious teachings.
After seeing his speech, right on the spot, Rich was convinced enough to go fully vegan, and ever since then, he's not had any meat since the age of 18.
You ate meat till you were like 20?
Well, no.
I think my only problem with going vegan is that if I stop eating animals, then who's going to torture them? You know what I mean? Like, what am I supposed to strangle them with my bare hands? Am I supposed to strangle cows with my bare hands? I don't really understand.
Again, I turned vegan just before my 18th birthday.
Okay.
So
you're 18.
yeah. So I think there were two things that really led to it. One was a near-death experience that I had when I had an E. coli infection in the hospital. I think I overdosed on opiates, so I had multiple surgeries to try to flush out the infection in my knee. So I was put under. I was on the highest dose of morphine they could give me, and the nurses gave me OxyContin and Percocets. And this is all in one day.
So you must have been in like an extreme pain.
Yeah, I was in insane pain, and I think I took so many opiates, I had a near-death experience, and I remember actually feeling my heart slow down and then leaving my body, and then I like became the universe. It was like this really weird out-of-body experience. I think that made me just a little more empathic because I felt like I just became everything.
With his new perspective on life, Richard found himself drawn into the world of YouTube. He noticed a significant gap in the platform's content offerings, particularly in the realm of vegan health and fitness. According to him,
I think he was a pretty big, he was a frequent flyer in the bodybuilding misc forums. I remember I got a shirt, like a Burt shirt that said, "Are you aware?" I don't think I still have it. But I used to be into the misc forms a little bit here and there.
There was an overwhelming lack of vegans in the weightlifting community, and among those that were weightlifting, Richard didn't really like them. So on December 12th, 2014, he created his own YouTube
This guy doesn't like anybody. What the fuck? It's just like his thing. He just doesn't like people.
channel titled Vegan Gains.
I was vegan for a
Nice.
few years before my YouTube channel.
I wonder if you could ask him, is this guy on like PEDs? This guy looks like he takes like tests. He looks like he's on like shit. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's just that vegan riz, but he looks like he's on gear.
I was really into like health and fitness. There wasn't really many vegan health and fitness channels. So I would just get content from like normal.
I like that. I like to set the stage. You got a Coca-Cola and a plushie, a Tom Dark plushie.
Fitness channels, and just every so often they'd make stupid videos about how like red meat
Looks like Tom's struggling with the focus.
is fine, like saturated fat isn't something that's too big of a deal, and they'd like promote animal products as if there's like no ethical issue. So
Yeah.
I just got kind of fed up that there was no one fighting back against it, so decided to start my own channel.
As Rich started uploading YouTube videos, his abrasive personality immediately got people's attention. He was basically willing to talk anyone, regardless of sub count, experience, level, or expertise.
I mean, that's how it is, man. It's a hate farm. Like that vegan or vegan teacher is the same way. She just says obnoxious shit for attention. I mean, I guess you could argue at least it's getting people to watch, engage in the veganism stuff, even if it is a little disrespectful to compare, you know, the death of cows to the Holocaust. But, you know, I guess it's working. People are engaging more. So whatever.
Yeah, you have heart disease, and you had surgery for heart disease, and you're dumb enough to keep eating foods that cause heart disease.
True.
This may surprise the out of you, but plants have protein too, and unlike your protein
Yeah,
supplement,
but it's like girl protein, you know? It's like whey. It's not whey protein. It's soy protein. Who wants to eat a bunch of soy? That's crazy. The only soy that I'll ever eat is Soylent Green. All right, because it's got a lot of whey protein in it.
plants don't lie about their protein content, so say whatever the fuck you want about vegetarians and vegans. Let's see how hard you can punch when you die of a fucking heart attack.
And as did everyone in 2014, he made sure to include some Smosh-style skits.
Just hold the line, we can do this! What button is for shoot again?
One series in particular proved to be the catalyst for channel growth and solidified his presence on YouTube, Worst of the Fitness Industry. This series was a scathing critique of fellow fitness YouTubers, whom Rich perceived as not only promoting an ethically questionable diet, but also embodying what he considered to be more unsavory aspects of the fitness genre as a whole. Not long after launching Worst of the Fitness Industry, his channel experienced a meteoric rise, accumulating 55,000 subscribers within a mere 6 months.
Hit that
Viewers
hate
were
farm,
drawn to his
baby.
unapologetic approach in dismantling larger fitness channels. His skits served as the icing on the cake, adding an element of comedy and entertainment that most others just weren't doing. Figures like Ben Pekulski, Furious Pete, and most notably Lex Fitness found themselves under a scrutiny. However, it was the latter, Lex, who
That guy looks like Ragnar Lothbrok.
managed to irk Rich to a considerable degree. Rich's video targeting Lex Fitness wasn't just a critique of his
There was also Frelene, the banana girl. Who the fuck is that?
dietary choices. It was a scathing indictment of what Rich perceived as a profit-driven approach. He openly accused Lex of peddling subpar fitness supplements to his dedicated fanbase.
He probably was. I mean, I feel like most fitness influencers do that. And then they don't tell you that they're on gear. So they're like, yeah, buy this product. You look just like me. When the reality is you're on fucking tech. And then they'll give you like really shitty versions of their routines, which are going to be generally ineffective because they're on gear. And you're just going to be stuck in this cycle of not making gains and thinking it's your fault over and over again.
Solely for financial gain, rather than a genuine commitment to their well-being. Rich didn't stop at critiquing Lex's professional decisions. He also took jabs at Lex's girlfriend, insinuating that Lex was depriving her for the sake of maintaining an image online.
It's not like having a functioning penis will help you win.
Like he's not fucking her? I mean, I think that's like one of the bro sciences, not to come, right? To make your better gains.
Any bodybuilding shows or become a fitness model, and when your girlfriend looks like this, erections become pretty overrated anyway.
Jesus, dude, come on.
Lex Fitness responded to Rich's video with a challenge of his own, urging Rich to meet him in person.
Yeah, nice try, little boy. Sounds like you're a little beta hiding behind a keyboard. Half the people you slander and talk shit about travel the world all year round. Come to one expo or meet where we are at. Just one. Please, I promise all we will do is cuddle the bullshit out of
If he
you.
believed his words held weight. And, true to his form, Richard accepted the challenge.
Did he show
in June
up?
of 2015, Rich attended the 2015 Toronto Pro Super Show, an annual bodybuilding event. His
All right.
primary intent was clear, to confront individuals he had critiqued online, and Lex was high on his list. The video capturing their face-to-face encounter at the event is a snapshot of this unfolding drama. Lex promptly demands an apology from Rich for the comments made about his
Oh, he's not even that big at this point.
girlfriend, while Vegan Gains says no.
Oh, maybe he is. He's got that sleeper build.
And then turns around and flexes his bicep to the camera. The exchange escalated when Lex threatened to involve security, prompting Rich to Scooby-Doo run out of there. Lex proceeded to upload a video
Damn.
where he vehemently expresses disdain for vegan gains before challenging him to a physical confrontation, showcasing clips from his MMA career as evidence of his preparedness. According to Lex, Rich did eventually extend an apology to Lex's girlfriend, Lainey, but notably omitted one directed towards Lex himself.
Well, I mean, that's fair. You shouldn't really bring a person's partner into it unprompted. So, yeah.
The full extent of that conversation remains unknown, but it's assumed this controversy is resolved because it's basically forgotten by now. Another thing to note about his content around this time was that Vegan Gains was trying to be as edgy as possible.
Yeah, I could see that. He's holding a Minecraft sword to his neck. What a fucking goober.
I mean, it was YouTube 10 years ago. Who wasn't? The start of his videos usually had an audio clip of a distorted voice saying "Pray to Satan," while text flashed on screen saying the same thing.
Pray to Satan, pray to Satan, pray to Satan.
I feel like Satan kills animals, though. Why would you want to pray to Satan specifically?
So bodybuilding has a really big niche fan base, sort of like Miss America.
He appeared to be basically doing anything to piss people off. But it wasn't all edge. There was a genuine point to Rich's sword. In his own words, the reason why he was exposing so many fitness industry YouTubers, I just want people to realize that just because these people look good and they seem nice, they're not really trying to help you out. They want to sell supplements. They want to sell their lifestyle. They want to get money from sponsors. All of this is just completely unrealistic. I think people should just focus on health, and if you want to be athletic and go after some real athletic goals, then you shouldn't really be focusing on these bodybuilders because they're not really athletic. They're really out of shape, really. If you take a look, especially leading up to the show, a lot of people say that it's about jealousy or it's about hating on people, and it's not jealousy. I don't
think that he's necessarily wrong. It's not like they're living like really healthy lifestyles. It's hard to live a healthy lifestyle, even if you're really muscular. If you're eating like 6,000 calories a day, it's not good for your body. If you're eating, you have to eat really well. Your body's not designed for that. So if you're eating 6,000 calories, even if you are like, obviously it's healthier to eat 6,000 calories being skinny than fat. But if you're on a bunch of fucking PEDs and you're cutting yourself really like low body weight and stuff, it's not necessarily the healthiest thing in the world, you know? So I get it.
Or I don't really even necessarily hate any of these people. Some of them, I think they really do believe what they're saying, and people just need some perspective. Just look at the videos objectively. I want people to open their eyes and just see the other side of things and see what's really going on behind the scenes. By this point, Vegan Gains had undeniably carved out a reputation for himself in the YouTube landscape. He'd become notorious for taking every opportunity, or perhaps even inventing opportunities, to bring veganism into the limelight. His unorthodox and extreme methods of confronting and calling out people on various topics, especially when they related to veganism, were nothing short of attention-grabbing. People may have had mixed feelings about him, but there was no denying that he was an eccentric individual who, for better or worse, had a very felt presence in the fitness community. But Gaines' appeal was relatively niche. He wasn't known outside of bodybuilders. This would all change when an up-and-coming channel called GradeAUnderA cast his eye upon Vegan Gains. On the 28th of June,
didn't this GradeAUnderA guy kind of go a little insane? Start saying like wild, like weird red pill shit or something, or like conservative stuff? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm too woke brained.
15, he uploaded a video titled "Proof That Vegan Gains is a Liar." The majority of this video was dedicated to Grade dissecting and exposing the contradictions within Richard's statements about why he adopted a vegan lifestyle. The implication was clear. Richard might have been bending the truth or even fabricating stories to garner sympathy, respect, and of course, more views. A central point of contention in Grade's video was Richard's habit of publicly calling out fellow bodybuilders for their alleged use of steroids. What Grade found odd is that some of the individuals whom Richard had personally endorsed in the past had their own history with steroids, thereby pointing out a glaring inconsistency. Interestingly, at the end of the video—
Oh, what, like other like vegan fitness influencers? Like, yeah, of course. If you want to be a professional and a bodybuilder, powerlifter, or showman, you have to go on gear.
Yeah, Grade—
really any professional, any sport, you have to go on something. You know, just because you don't get really big and muscular doesn't mean you're not on gear, like Lance Armstrong. You know, like, and everybody else is on shit too. It's, you know, there's a documentary called Bigger, Stronger, Faster that basically shows that like everybody's on gear and how they hide it and stuff. So
issued a challenge. He essentially dared Richard to respond, stating that if Richard chose not to react, he would release 2 groundbreaking videos. Clearly, this was a tactic aimed at prodding Vegan Gains into a response, potentially sparking a heated feud and generating even more buzz.
Now, hopefully, I don't have to make any more videos about you. I've already made 2 other videos that are ready to be uploaded in like a second's notice, right? One of the videos that I have is one of his worst of the YouTube fitness industry videos that I stole when I hacked into Vegan Gains' computer. Because I'm a hacker, me, right? And it's one he didn't upload for very good reason. It's not one he would want you seeing, trust me. And as if that wasn't saucy enough, the other video that
he actually hacked him? There's no way. That's fucking crazy, dude.
I've got is a personal video message to Vegan Gains from a very fucking surprising source.
What was surprising was that Richard chose to remain silent in the face of provocation. At that point, it was widely acknowledged that he had a knack for engaging in verbal battles and creating controversy, yet he inexplicably turned his back on this opportunity to fire back at Grade. As Grade promised, just 5 days later, he uploaded another video urging people who dislike Vegan Gains to tweet at him if they wanted to see the new video on Saturday. 2 days passed, and the video was released titled Vegan Gains vs. GradeAUnderA. However, what unfolded in that video was far from what viewers might have expected. Instead of being a harsh takedown or scathing expose, it turned out to be more of a joke or a roast, straying far from the notion of a hit piece. In fact, the first 3 minutes of the video consisted of edited clips designed to make Richard appear stupid, and Grade himself acknowledged this approach within the video.
I carried on snooping, and I found some more dirt on him, and this dirt—
Yeah, maybe he stayed quiet to see what the guy had on him before responding. And then he just turned out it was bullshit. He called his bluff.
If I'm honest, is actual dirt. Like the video you just seen, that's a joke, right? But this is actual dirt on him, right?
The remainder of the content didn't live up to the anticipation of real dirt that was promised. Instead, it mainly featured embarrassing comments that Richard had made on YouTube in the past, far from the explosive revelations that had been hinted at. After both videos had been released, both Vegan Gains and GradeAUnderA experienced a noticeable surge in growth. This boost in popularity occurred despite the fact that Richard chose to remain completely silent. That being said, once the videos were all out on the table, Richard released
Damn, I really wonder if it was a tactic to just call his bluff, because that would have been kind of the alpha Chad move. It seemed to have worked.
Response where he criticized Grade for avoiding the topic of veganism altogether and called his voice annoying.
Wow, 3 videos about one person, and they're nothing but 10 minutes of personal ad hominem attacks.
Ooh,
nothing
debate!
about veganism, nutrition, the environment, or anything relevant to the topics of my videos, just you obsessing over me. Why don't you just come out and say what you really feel?
By August, Richard had amassed over 80,000 subscribers, and he was about to pull one of his wildest stunts yet. In late July...
What's he at now? I'm playing the game. Somebody look it up for me. What is Vegan Gains at now?
Richard made an announcement on his Facebook, sharing the distressing news that his grandfather had suffered a heart attack and was being rushed to the hospital, accompanied by a stark declaration that he might not survive. However, many found the last sentence to be pretty offensive. My grandfather just had a heart attack, seizure, or stroke. I'm not sure exactly what yet. His heart stopped beating and he stopped breathing, but the paramedics were able to get his heart going again, but he still can't breathe on his own. He's on his way to the hospital right now, and I'm not sure what's going to happen to him. He's 82, and there's a very likely chance he's going to die. This is the price you pay for a bad diet.
Oh, he doesn't really make much content anymore. Is he on Facebook now or something? Is he a Facebooker? Is Facebook even viable? Oh, he's not even post on there. The fuck? Yeah, whatever.
You can expect to see a video on this very soon. I'm going to warn you all ahead of time, it will be graphic.
I feel like so far that message isn't really that bad. I mean, it's not that bad. He's saying, hey, my grandfather is dying or died because he lived an unhealthy lifestyle. Like, it's okay. I mean, I think it's that bad. It depends on how it goes moving forward. But, like, yeah, man. Like, if I died from a really unhealthy lifestyle, my daughter or my son was like, hey, this motherfucker ate like shit. Like, yeah, learn from that. Don't do it. Don't eat like shit, guys. It's bad for you.
A few days later, Rich uploaded a video titled, My Grandfather's Heart Attack and Death. The video's description mirrored that closing sentence from his earlier Facebook post. Within this video, he provided his own personal account of his grandfather's demise, confirming that he had indeed succumbed to a heart attack. Yet, what astounded viewers was something that Rich admitted within this video, that he wanted to record his own grandfather's death and share it with the world via YouTube.
Okay, well, they got... Okay, you know, I was defending him at first, but that's a little unhinged, man. What the fuck are you doing?
I called 911. They told me to perform CPR on him until the paramedics got there.
And I didn't. I covered his mouth with lettuce. And I said, the earth will decide your fate, grandfather. That'd be actually fucking awesome. That'd be cool as hell. That's fucked up. It's terrible, but that would be cool as hell, let's be honest. The earth will decide your fate? It's kind of a hard line. Almost like when Joe Biden says we own the finish line.
So I was performing CPR on him for a few minutes until the paramedics got there. Then I took out my camera, started filming, and of course you can't see the footage, but that's what happened.
His family...
Why? Why would you film it? That's so fucking weird, dude. I guess if he hates his parents for yelling at him or whatever, like maybe, you know, he might hate his grandparents too.
Obviously reacted with horror and staunch disapproval, promptly forbidding him from carrying out such a disturbing plan. Rich's evident sadness at not being able to execute this intention.
That was my Black Friday. It was fun. My wife and I went out and we kind of bought a few different things. It was fun.
And only added to the unsettling nature of the situation. His rationale for wanting to publicly document his grandfather's death was as insane as
he has depression and went on Destiny's live stream like a week ago and said he had bad thoughts. Oh, okay.
was unsettling. He articulated a belief that his grandfather's dietary choices had contributed to his fatal heart attack. In Rich's view,
probably did.
Sharing this grim spectacle on the internet would serve as a cautionary tale, a stark example of the dire consequences of an improper diet. Naturally, that video attracted an enormous wave of criticism from virtually everyone who came across it. People from all corners of the internet began labeling Richard a psychopath.
If he had just said like, hey, my grandfather's poor diet led to his death, that's one thing. But dude, you recording it in general is so fucking weird.
For wanting to film that and post it to his YouTube channel. However, in response to this barrage of criticism, Richard displayed a remarkable degree of unwavering conviction. He doubled and then tripled down, seemingly not caring that people were upset at him at all. A YouTuber named Repzion stepped into the controversy and issued a video strongly condemning Richard's actions. In that video, Repzion suggested that Richard might have a mental disability.
I think he asked me to take, well, he did. He asked me to take a video down like a couple weeks ago in the comments, and I did, because I guess there's a lawsuit with him and his ex or something. So I was like, okay. Oh, fuck.
claiming that only someone lacking in empathy or humanity could do such a thing. Repzion's video, which criticized Richard in no uncertain terms, added a lot of fuel to the already raging fire.
Who in their right mind, unless they're mentally ill and sick, like beyond the normal scope of a mentally ill person? I'm mentally ill myself. I have clinical depression. Why is the first thought to come to your mind is, hey, I want to record my grandfather having a stroke? How does someone think like this? Hey, the first thought that's going to go through my mind when my dad's having a heart attack is I'm going to record him having that heart attack so I can show it to YouTube, to show it to all my YouTube subscribers, and this is what eating meat really does.
Kind of based.
But this actually wasn't the first time that Richard and Repzion had crossed paths. The seeds of this online encounter were sown back in May, when Repzion took to YouTube to articulate a stance on veganism. His viewpoint at its core didn't fundamentally oppose the principles of veganism itself. Instead, his reservations were rooted in the instances where individuals seemed inclined to impose their dietary choices onto others, instead of allowing people to live their own lives how they want to. By now, it should be no surprise.
I don't think there's anything wrong with advocating for things, but when you're being obnoxious to advocate, it's probably the biggest issue.
Vegan Gains had a penchant for taking matters to the extreme. In characteristic fashion, he felt compelled to respond to Repzion's commentary by making it abundantly clear that he couldn't endorse a hands-off approach to non-veganism, because to him, the act of not actively advocating for veganism was in essence an act of complicity in the torture and murder of animals. He expressed that remaining silent on the matter was tantamount to endorsing cruelty. And
I just personally think that if we're going to kill animals, we should kill all animals. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, cows, chickens. Why not dogs? What about cats? Like, what do you know what I mean? We have a lot of dogs and a lot of shelters. We can eat those dogs. We can feed the homeless with those dogs. But instead, we're sitting here. Oh, I like dogs. Why? For what reason? Why do you like dogs? They attack people. They hurt people. You know, you just got to keep the good dogs. Just make sure that the purebred dogs are the ones that stay alive, and you're all good. You know, just protect the purebred dogs.
And that anyone who's willing to eat meat or not call out others who do eat meat is complicit in the suffering of millions and millions of animals every year.
So I'm going to get straight to the point. Mr. Repzion. Yes, Mr. Repzion thinks that unless it's affecting you directly, you have no right to protest. So let's just let people torture, murder, do whatever sick fucking horrible acts they want to animals because of—
I say just kill the animal nicely, you know, just kill it nicely. Kill it with kindness. And then it's okay to kill animals. No, but I just think that you should just do it quick if you're going to eat it. You know, make a dog burger, just kill that motherfucker quick, you know?
Unless it's affecting you directly, it doesn't matter because we're all just selfish little children who feel no responsibility to help others.
Repzion, in turn, issued a follow-up video reiterating his initial points. He contended that Richard had misconstrued and taken his comments out of context, thus setting the stage for a rebuttal. The drama that ensued followed a pretty predictable trajectory, gradually fizzling out and fading into the background until Richard's grandfather passed and he wanted to film it and post it to YouTube, at which point Repzion got involved again. Of course, Vegan Gains saw Repzion's video about his grandfather, and in typical fashion, he responded by launching into a heated rant while playing Call of Duty during a live stream. He did not hold back, calling Repzion a little bitch, and even making death threats, which, I mean, while he is kind of joking about it, I think he does feel that way a little bit.
Repzion's a little fucking bitch. Like, I usually don't have a huge issue with people I make videos about, but yeah, if I had the opportunity, I'd...
He even goes as far as to display a knife on camera as part of his rant. Witnessing this, Repzion felt compelled to create another response. He expressed his concern that Rich had gone way overboard by making explicit threats, and that he was documenting this for the future in case something happened. Repzion held his firm belief that Rich exhibited psychopathic tendencies, reiterating his initial...
He might, or maybe he just wants to, like, he wants to be that. That's what I'm saying, like, bless you! Maybe he just wants to play that persona of, like, oh, I'm a psychopath. I'm a crazy guy. I'm the jokester, baby, you know?
Assessment of the situation. But as Vegan Gains looks back on this situation, he acknowledges that he would have handled it much differently. His initial impulse to record his grandfather's passing for public consumption stemmed more from emotional trauma that had occurred to him as a result of his grandfather, which...
Did it? Like, maybe that's possible. Or was it that you were so view obsessed from like making YouTube content that you thought that that was like an acceptable idea to engage in, you know? I guess we'll never know.
Also extended to the rest of his family.
He's actually
the reasons
crazy,
he had
maybe.
given previously, such as
I don't
wanting
really
to showcase his
him,
grandfather's
so
dietary choices and how they led to his death to his audience, served more as excuses for his actions rather than representing the actual motivation behind them.
I didn't post it to YouTube.
Okay.
My family stopped me from doing that.
But you would have, I guess.
Yeah, I would. So the real reason, I've had years to think about it. I've had a lot of issues with my grandfather. He was pretty abusive to me. A little bit physically, like he's hit me a few times, but a lot like mentally and emotionally.
Okay.
And he was a scary guy. Even like my mom and my uncles, so his kids, they would talk about having like nightmares about him throwing like...
Yeah, that's the unfortunate thing, man. Like a lot of parents and grandparents are fucking used to be super abusive. That was like normal. It was almost encouraged back then. Beating the shit out of your kids. Fucking weird, man. That's how it feels. You know, thankfully, I mean, my mom hit me sometimes. Sometimes it's too much. You know, we went to therapy and she stopped after that. But, you know, it was just kind of like unfortunately, what it used to be. It was a sad time.
explosive glass at them. And
doesn't justify
like, he was kind of a scary, intense dude. It's a bit of a love-hate relationship, though. He's kind of like the nicest asshole you could ever meet. I think he was mistreated a lot as a kid, and he would do things to kind of like make up for that, like make sure you get every Christmas present you want.
That being said, this wouldn't even be
close. Oh, well, that's kind of fucked. So he used to beat you or beat people, and then he felt bad about it? Well, then he knows what he's doing is wrong. It's pretty fucked. Damn, that's fucking crazy. You had an abusive grandfather? Yeah, at this point, you could just kind of push him down the stairs and he's dead, you know?
Close to the last time that Richard managed to piss off the audience and attract the ire of commentary channels who sought to profit off of criticizing him. Furious Pete, another bodybuilding YouTuber from Canada, was on a steady climb in terms of subscribers during the same time period as Richard. Like Rich, he had an interesting story that set him apart. At the age of 17, Pete battled and overcame an ED, which was a significant turning point in his life. He then shifted his focus to fitness and even started competitive eating as a sort of personal rehabilitation, which is an interesting story to say the least. Over the past decade, Pete has managed to garner an impressive following of over 2.5 million subscribers.
Damn.
And his channel
features
some truly mind-boggling content, including videos where he devours insane quantities of food in record time.
I could do that. But then I breathe heavy. My heart starts to hurt, so I don't do it anymore. But I could do it.
From eating 2 pounds of butter a day to taking on the challenge of consuming 150 war.
Super chatted $1.99.
Dog
eating merch when. Speaking Sillet. Speaking Sillet. Speaking Sillet.
I don't know. I'll have to think about it. It's not a bad idea. You know, I got that dog in me, but literally because I'm eating dogs. And also, I let dogs fuck me in the ass. So.
Heads in one go. Pete used his YouTube platform not only for showcasing his eating feats, but also for documenting his workouts and trying to incorporate workout content along with his eating challenges. One of the most memorable moments that added to his fame was when he consumed over 7 pounds of pulled pork in just 6 minutes. In October 2014.
Thank you for the thank you.
He broke from his usual content style to upload a video on his channel. And this time,
super chatted $1.99.
Wait, it sent them in reverse.
What is your top dog meat recipe?
I don't know. Probably just some barbecue sauce. Something simple. It's dog meat. You don't have to go crazy, you know?
Tone was pretty sad. Within the upload, he told his fans that at age 30, he had received a diagnosis of testicular cancer and had to undergo surgery to remove one of his testicles.
That sucks.
Despite the gravity of the situation, Pete reassured his friends and fans that he intended to continue living life much as he always had. However, some viewers believed that he needed to make substantial changes to his lifestyle, particularly when it came to his diet. The prevailing sentiment among some was that he needed to significantly reduce his meat consumption to improve his chances of defeating cancer. He was literally eating pounds of meat a day, so it's not unfair to make an assessment like that. These discussions around Pete's diet were not new. They had existed as a part of an ongoing...
Well, I mean, when you're making content about eating a whole fucking stick of butter a day, it makes sense that people would... they'd kind of consider that. They'd have a debate about it.
Dialogue among his viewers. Some vegans asserted that his non-vegan diet...
Damn. Furious Pete lost his balls due to the participation in No Nut November. Yeah, I mean, I guess he took No Nut November a little too seriously there.
Was a contributing factor to his illness, a claim that Pete vehemently challenged. He defended his position, asserting, "I've gotten a lot of hate from vegans stating I got cancer because I'm not vegan. I will simply state that anyone can get cancer." And he urged those commenting to just let go of the topic. In one of his videos, Pete revealed that he received numerous messages, including lengthy emails, DMs, and even handwritten letters from strangers. These comments, especially those regarding his diet, infuriated him, a sentiment he openly expressed in his video. It was hardly a surprise when Rich decided to feature Furious Pete in one of his scathing, worst of the fitness industry videos, published on April 5th, 2015. The video's description alone hinted at...
Would you get ball cancer though from that? Wouldn't you get like prostate cancer or something from eating like shit? I mean, I'm no doctor, but...
At the crux of Richard's criticism. What makes Furious Pete the worst of the fitness industry? Well, for one thing, he eats a lot of f***ing meat. Richard dissected Pete's diet, which included excessive consumption of olive oil and butter, while Pete unabashedly claimed to have a healthy diet. Beyond...
Aren't you allowed to have olive oil? That's vegan, isn't it?
Dietary differences, Richard took offense at the seemingly innocuous choice of clothing by Pete.
Well, I mean... Okay, yeah, no, but butter isn't because you're vegan, not vegetarian.
A shirt depicting a cow with a fork stuck in it. For someone like Richard, who passionately advocated for veganism and animal rights, this symbol made him furious. One of Richard's
people eating tasty animals is funny.
Most controversial accusations echoed what some commenters had already suggested, that Pete's dietary habits, marked by excess and indulgence, might have contributed to his diagnosis of testicular cancer. However, it's worth noting that after the video's release, it didn't stir up as much controversy as one might expect. Pete chose not to respond to Richard's initial video, and the matter appeared to rest there. Interestingly, they ran into
his initial video, huh? Sounds like there's a little more to the story.
Each other just a few months later. This
I also have feelings that's true.
Time physically in real life. Both Richard and Pete were slated to attend the same fitness expo in Toronto, and followers of both YouTube stars anticipated a possible real-life showdown. And yes, this was the same expo where Richard had previously confronted Lex. In the aftermath of the event, both Richard and Pete uploaded videos detailing their respective experiences, providing their followers with a glimpse into the encounter. However, it was Richard who dropped hints of potential trouble, insinuating that he'd come face-to-face with Pete when the cameras weren't rolling. Vegan Gains described Furious Pete as visibly agitated during their interaction, and even claims that Pete's girlfriend had called security on him.
Okay.
Alright, so if you're at the Toronto Fitness Expo, I tried to talk to Furious Pete, but he was kind of pissed off and didn't really want to see me.
Yeah, like, why would you want to see somebody like that? This guy, he seems like kind of a bully. He's kind of an ass, though. Like, this was kind of how things were back then, right? I mean, it was basically a reality TV show, but he just seems like a very unpleasant person to be around. Just constantly starting problems and then confronting people in real life is just so... It's a weird behavior to do. It's like pathetic behavior.
Yeah, he won't say hi.
However, Pete's account of the situation differed quite a bit. According to Pete, Richard had approached his booth where a line of fans eagerly awaited their turn to meet him. Rather than waiting his turn like everyone else, Richard decided to confront Pete directly in front of his fans. Pete said that he had simply asked Richard to leave. He clarified that if Richard genuinely wanted to engage in a conversation, he should have followed the same protocol as everyone else and waited in line. Despite the tantalizing prospect of an on-camera confrontation, the alleged face-off between Richard and Pete at the Fitness Expo never really happened, leaving the drama somewhat inconclusive until a few months later. Pete had recently gone into remission, which means that the cancer looked like it was going away, which is obviously great news to his followers and him. Richard, however, kept on the war.
Probably good news to him, too. My fucking microphone is fucked up. My audio is just not working. I accidentally tapped it, and so now the whole thing is, like, messed up.
Path. As the Vegan Gains channel continued to grow, he once again took aim at Furious Pete, this time with a scathing video denouncing Pete's new weight loss supplements as nothing more than a scam. Surprisingly, even in the face of these accusations, Furious Pete chose not to react, maintaining a stoic silence. However,
I mean, what's the point of responding to this guy? He just seems to kind of yell and scream, so.
Events would soon take another grim turn for Pete. Later in that very month, news broke that Pete's cancer had made a return. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, reports emerged that Pete had initiated a series of private copyright infringement claims against Richard for using his footage without permission. In one of his video uploads, Pete candidly disclosed his choice to undergo radiation treatment to combat the resurgent cancer. While the majority of comments on this video offered heart.
Is radiation vegan, dude? Do they have to? Don't they get radiation from pigs? No. Is that true?
One particular comment stood out for its lack of sympathy. It was a comment left by Vegan Gains, where he said, "By the way, you're not going to be able to make fallacious copyright claims on my videos when you're dead." Perhaps as a response to Richard's callous comment, visitors who clicked through to Vegan Gains' account discovered a new video titled, "Furious Pete has cancer again. Oh no." In this video, Richard did not hold back at all.
Why does it only have 1.3 thousand views? Oh, it's deleted videos.
Seized the opportunity to reiterate his unyielding stance on animal products and their association with cancer. In characteristically blunt fashion, he didn't mince words when referring to Pete.
So there you go, animal products greatly increase your cancer risk, and Furious Pete is a dumb, selfish who continued to eat meat.
Is it animal products, or is it like the preservatives in animal products? Maybe it's both, I don't know.
Eggs, even after he learned about all of this, and now it looks like he's gonna die of cancer, and if you ask me, he's getting exactly what he deserved. And good thing for me and a few other people is, you can't make fallacious copyright claims when you're dead.
Predictably, the comment section of Richard's video quickly descended into pure rage. Supporters of Pete unleashed a barrage of vitriolic insults, accompanied by spiteful comments detailing their intentions to consume extra meat in his honor. Some even expressed a desire to see someone physically confront Richard in response.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I didn't think about that. If some of these vegan people, if they hate them so much, they'll start to eat more meat. I mean, you're not really having a positive impact. All you're doing is kind of, if anything, you're just goading people into a problem, into doing more harm, right? Like, there's the whole issue where there are people in protected spaces of, like, it doesn't really matter what the ethnicity or whatever identity they are, that'll be like super toxic over a particular issue. Like, let's say like Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter has a negative impact on, well, not Black Lives Matter doesn't have a negative impact on Black people. What I'm saying is that there might be either like a privileged Black person or a white person with privilege that'll be really toxic over BLM, and they'll yell and they'll scream and they'll cause divisiveness, and that just has a negative impact on like actual Black people that are, you know, in systemic issues. And it's like one of those things. I wonder if that you just cause more animals to die. People are like, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna eat more animals. I hate you so much, you know. Possible. It's possible.
Harsh words. Notably, even self-identified vegans who had initially aligned themselves with Richard's viewpoints voiced their disapproval, believing that he had crossed the line. However, Pete continued his deliberate avoidance of directly addressing Richard on his YouTube channel. Instead, Pete's vlog updates began featuring glimpses of his daily progress during the arduous 20 days of radiation treatment. His followers, however, continued to beseech him to finally confront Richard and to stop avoiding the subject. When Pete engaged in an AMA session on the r/fitness subreddit, he pretty much sidestepped any question pertaining to Richard, despite the evident curiosity of those eager to glean some insight into their ongoing feud. In response to inquiries about this long-standing conflict, he chose a rather diplomatic stance, saying, "Personally, I like some of his videos, they're funny. I just wasn't a fan of someone being overly excited that I got cancer." By November 2015, Pete received the news that he was officially declared cancer-free. Subsequently, the animosity surrounding the feud.
All right, God bless. God bless. I wish I could have recorded him passing away. I'm so edgy.
Feud, largely created by Richard, seemed to subside. However, Pete's period of silence proved to be a transient one. In a January 4th upload titled "The Problem with Vegan Gains, the Cult," Pete decided to break his silence on the topic of the vegan movement.
Yeah, maybe he just felt like there was so much stress going on in his life with, like, I mean, he's probably a professional bodybuilder or whatever, plus his YouTube content, plus having cancer. He may just not have wanted to respond because he just couldn't deal with all the bullshit. Maybe that's the whole thing. And then he was feeling better, so he decided to respond. I mean, that's perfectly possible.
In this video, he expressed his views, stating,
"Vegans are so damn aggressive in trying to influence others that are not vegans to become vegans. They're so damn aggressive, and if you say no to them, they wish death upon you. They wish that, you know,
I don't think it's all vegans. I think it's mostly just like vegan gains, but okay.
Didn't exist and wish you nothing but the worst. I hate to make this comparison, but it's in the news all the time. Veganism is almost like ISIS lately.
Pete's analogy immediately provoked an angry reaction. In response to the backlash,
damn, like ISIS, that's crazy.
Pete promptly replaced the video with an edited version that omitted the reference to ISIS. Nevertheless, he defended his initial comparison in the comment section, explaining, "Let's set something straight, especially the ISIS comment I made. When some vegans make videos wishing death upon you and wanting you to be killed if you don't do what they preach, I believe it is a very fair comparison." With Pete finally having broken his silence and igniting a fresh wave of controversy, Richard wasted no time in issuing a scathing response. On January 5th, he uploaded a video wherein he accused Pete's followers.
This channel that re-uploaded is called Veggie Fart. It's incredible stuff.
Of systematically hitting the dislike button on his videos en masse, and that because of that, Pete deserved to suffer from a terminal illness, which would lead to his
a little bit of a cut there.
Demise.
I wonder what he actually
I don't know
said.
what I can say on YouTube for this, but you can probably imagine what Vegan Gains said.
Since your followers have a tendency to dislike my videos before they even watch them, I think it's only fair that you die.
Once again, we don't endorse any opinions expressed by Vegan Gains. This is what he said.
Not any of them?
In his video. In fact, I vehemently disagree with that opinion, of course. Within a matter of days, Richard's response video amassed a staggering 21,000 dislikes compared to 15,000 likes. The comment section became a battleground for supporters of both parties, with impassioned individuals voicing their thoughts. Some commenters expressed their desire to see Richard confront his critics in person, with one individual writing, "Man, I just want Vegan Gains to talk crap to all these people face to face and get his ass kicked." In response, Richard confidently retorted,
I mean, he seems like he's kind of open to it, so, you know.
"I have and nothing happened," before sharing a link to his video documenting the Toronto Fitness Expo, where the alleged confrontation with Pete took place. Surprisingly, a few people emerged from the woodwork to defend him, though. One woman wrote, "I don't even like Vegan Gains, but everything he says in this video is completely valid. He draws comparisons that are 100% true and relevant. Various people..."
All because people got so mad that he said that that vegans were like ISIS. Jesus.
Needs to pull his head out of his ass. But predictably, neither side showed any inclination to concede to the other, and ultimately the drama died down. In 2016, the Vegan Gains channel experienced continuous growth, and this year could probably be considered the pinnacle of his internet fame, or perhaps more fittingly, his internet infamy. If you scoured Reddit around that time, you'd come across some individuals, often referred to as fedora tippers, likening him to the
Oh, yes. I feel like I'd look good in a fedora. My wife says you're not allowed to, so...
Donald Trump of vegans. A truly insightful comparison that added a touch of intellect to his online persona. Throughout 2016, Richard began adopting an even
his fursona.
edgier approach in content creation, aligning with the prevailing trend of commentary videos and scathing critiques of fellow creators. This period witnessed the creation of some of his most infamous videos, such as How I Humanely Kill People. In this video, Richard sat in a dimly lit room, casting a shadowy silhouette across his face as he delved into explicit details about his
kill people? What is it?
Method of meticulously targeting individuals with seemingly great lives and consuming them for his own pleasure. And if it's not clear, that video is satirical. He's not being serious, I think. Another highly
seems a little unhinged, though.
Talked about video from this era was If Elliot Rodger Was Vegan. And not to be forgotten is his class...
Jesus Christ, he just sounds like an opportunist, like just looking to make get attention off of like hateful videos. If Elliot Rodgers was a vegan, probably not doing the positive thing.
It's like invite to the Toronto Veg Fest, a vegan festival where he hoped to connect with his fans.
I think Furious P's a nice guy. He, sorry, he and his girlfriend had to go through cancer. I remember him saying how sad they couldn't have kids together and how sad it was. Really? I thought they only had to have one testicle removed. Why couldn't they have kids? That sucks.
It's a great opportunity to meet me, and don't be shy. I say hi and talk to everyone.
Hey, Vegan Gains, Vegan Gains.
Told you to God.
Several other edgy videos would keep skyrocketing him in popularity until finally the final boss of 2016 would cover him. LeafyIsHere. Leafy was at the time experiencing his own zenith of internet fame, and he had a penchant for creating content centered
It's fucking a war zone. YouTube used to be a war zone, man. That's fucking crazy, brother.
Around individuals who are unconventional, offbeat, or peculiar. In this context, Vegan Gains fit the bill perfectly. Leafy's video about Vegan Gains, much like his usual content, wasn't known for its in-depth or artistic merit. Instead, it boiled down to the time-tested formula of poking fun at the weirdest and most infamous moments of Vegan Gains' YouTube career. Leafy dove into the controversies that had embroiled Vegan Gains, including stuff with Repzion and Furious Pete. At the outset of the video, Leafy featured what might just be one of the most widely circulated clips of Vegan Gains. In this infamous snippet, Vegan Gains expresses his vehement aversion to babies, albeit in a very unique way.
What? Holy shit. This man is seriously mentally fucked. This dude needs to
I don't know, dude. I kind of agree with the baby take. Babies are annoying as hell, dude. They shit all over themselves. They're fucking... Why? I feel like if anybody's like, I love babies, you're either a woman or you just never really met a baby. They are annoying as shit, you know? So...
to be locked up, and I'm not talking about jail. I'm not talking about prison. I feel like the U.S. government needs to drop some budget and redo Alcatraz, and then put this man in a helicopter, fly over to Alcatraz. Once the helicopter and this man-child are about 100 feet above Alcatraz, toss him out of the fucking helicopter like a horseshoe, and also with no parachute. Trust me, he'll be fine.
The shock value was undeniable. However, it's worth noting that Vegan Gains later revealed that his revulsion towards babies wasn't just a persona he put on for the internet. He claims to have harbored a deep-seated and irrational fear of babies since childhood. He finds their appearance unsettling and even underwent a vasectomy, a drastic step that he attributed to his discomfort around babies. This vasectomy was the original inspiration behind the controversy.
That's a little weird. That's so bizarre.
Controversial video, which features his tirade about infants.
They're not cute. They have like these weird bald heads, bulging eyes, creepy little toes and fingers. Yeah,
I feel like he looks a little like a baby. What the hell? What the hell are you talking about?
They just creep me out, and they make really annoying sounds.
So you would never want to have kids?
Nope. I have a vasectomy, and my wife has a hysterectomy, so it would be literally impossible.
Damn. Fucking double down on that one. Okay. Maybe that's a good thing. I don't know. I can't wait to have kids.
Possible for us to have kids.
Do you think if you had a kid, you would come to love it?
No.
No.
I don't think I have any paternal instincts.
That's crazy. Okay. I thought everyone kind of had that. That's interesting.
Yeah,
Has it always been the case, like since you were young?
Yeah, even when I was like when I was old enough to be lucid, so probably like around 3-4, when your memories start to form.
Yeah.
What?
Really creeped out by babies.
You remember at being 4 years old being creeped out by other babies? Oh, damn. Okay.
While many of the clips, including the baby segment, were clearly exaggerated for comedic effects, Leafy didn't seem to interpret them as such, despite likely understanding the satirical nature of Vegan Gains' content. This discrepancy...
Well, I mean, that's just another form of sensationalizing, right? Like, you look at somebody who's clearly joking about something and you try to make like a whole thing out of it. I don't know.
Perception prompted Vegan Gains to respond. In his rebuttal, Vegan Gains accused Leafy of being a bully who targeted mentally disabled individuals. He argued that Leafy took his blatantly exaggerated jokes as serious statements, equating it to slander and libel. Vegan Gains didn't mince words in defending his content and his intent. Interestingly, despite any negative sentiments Vegan Gains may have held towards Leafy, the fallout from this exchange was undeniable. The video Leafy created catapulted Vegan Gains to even greater heights of online recognition. In the wake of Leafy's video, Vegan Gains saw a surge in subscribers, with his sub count soaring beyond the 200,000 mark. The views on his channel were also skyrocketing, regularly raking in millions of views each month. The year 2016 wasn't just a pivotal moment in Richard's online.
So honest question. I'm not really I was never part of the Vegan Gains era, but like, was he considered a lol cow? How does that work? Like, I don't know how any of this works.
Career. It also marked significant personal milestones and improvements in his life. On November 1st, he shared a video with his audience, revealing that he was about to get married with his longtime girlfriend, Jasmine. For those who followed Richard's vlogs, Jasmine wasn't an unfamiliar face. She had made appearances in his real-life segments even before this announcement, blending into the fabric of his channel. Familiarity had already bred comfort for fans, as they often spotted her popping in and out of the vlogs. Before Jasmine came into his life, during his teenage years, Richard harbored vivid fantasies about engaging in casual relationships with many women, believing it to be the epitome of coolness. However,
we got that red pill, baby! I love it.
Claims that as he matured and had the opportunity to explore those desires, he found that such a lifestyle didn't really resonate with him. His growing popularity on YouTube exposed him to various vegan gats who sent him direct messages, seemingly interested in one-night stands, something he didn't want to pursue. It was during this time that Jasmine entered
like that vegan teacher was one of the gats
for the picture. She reached out to Richard on Facebook, expressing her admiration for his videos. Richard sensed that she was seeking something more substantial than a mere one-night stand. They initially bonded over their shared interest in playing Call of Duty, and from there, their relationship grew, with them being together to this day.
Before I became sexually active, so when I was in my early teens, I always fantasized about like fucking tons of different women. Thought it was hot to like have sex with people you don't really know that you just met. Then when I did it, it sucked out.
So you were intimate with a few people, and then you were like, this is not for me.
Yeah, it's not for me. Then I only really looked for good long-term relationships, and then I met Jasmine online, and we just really clicked, and then things just grew, and we eventually got married.
Is it like a dating app? How'd you meet?
No, Facebook. She messaged me on Facebook, and we ended up playing Call of Duty together. I had a lot of girls messaging me saying that they want to like meet up to have sex, or like they would.
Oh, sex? Cringe. Call of Duty? Heck yeah, brother.
Make it, I could see, like, read between the lines that they were more interested in sex than like actually a long-term relationship.
I hate women for that reason.
And Jasmine, when she messaged me, it seemed like she actually was interested in a long-term relationship. So yeah, I just messaged her back.
And they do seem to be quite compatible.
The old LTR. I didn't get anything that could detect stealth. So
notably, even Jasmine has undergone a hysterectomy alongside Richard's vasectomy. So there's no chance of having a vegan.
Wait, so did they do that on purpose? I'm just looking at him and his wife. Interesting. Okay. God bless him. They look a little LGBTQ. There's nothing wrong with that. Just kind of what it looks like a little bit. It's like, okay, it's good for, good for them, I think. Right? That's a good thing. Beautiful stuff.
Gaines Jr., for anyone worried about that. As 2016 drew to a close, Richard was undoubtedly on cloud 9. He'd achieved new heights in his career, along with in his personal life. Everything appeared to be at its peak, a high point that many believed couldn't be surpassed. But it wouldn't be the end of his conflicts with other creators.
I wonder if that's why. I wonder if that's why he doesn't have the biological drive to have kids. Because I feel like, maybe some You know, I mean, I have a couple of gay people in my family. It seems like they don't really want to have kids. They want to adopt more than anything else. I wonder if there's a biological drive for, you know, LGBTQ people to adopt instead of have their own kids. There's nothing wrong with that. So
as 2017 and 18 rolled by,
I remember that vegan Jamal. Absolutely,
it became increasingly evident that Richard's YouTube channel was experiencing a noticeable decline in views. The very edgy style of content that had once garnered him a substantial following was losing its popularity, and in the eyes of the YouTube algorithm,
well, I think part of it is it's just losing its popularity, partially because YouTube didn't want that edgy shit on there because they're trying to be more advertiser friendly.
Making jokes at the expense of people's appearance and other sensitive subjects was no longer favorable. Adding to the challenges Richard faced during this period, he found himself in a series of run-ins with the police. According to Rich, the local police force in the Toronto area had developed a level of familiarity with his persona, to the extent that officers would approach him with phrases like, "Oh hey, you're Vegan Gains, our whole station knows you." This apparent recognition raised questions about whether or not he was under some form of...
That's weird. What? Okay, I mean, I guess he's popular on the internet, so...
surveillance, or if he was a point of interest for an investigation. The initial episode unfolded when Richard made the usual statement.
Seems more like they just are aware of him because they see his content. And I imagine a lot of cops probably would be a higher chance of them being MISC dwellers, the bodybuilding forums, and I'm sure that Vegan Gains videos were posted to like MISC forums to be like, oh, look at this.
And such as, all meat eaters should die, or be nice to animals or I'll kill you. Subsequently, he found himself under arrest and placed within the confines of a mental evaluation clinic. The second incident, by contrast, unfolded under rather unusual circumstances. Richard inadvertently purchased a pair of leather gloves from a store. However, he used this as an opportunity to create content for his YouTube channel. In a video titled, "I bought leather gloves, #not vegan anymore," he held a BB gun while crafting a thumbnail that depicted him pointing the BB gun in his own mouth. The intention behind this thumbnail was unmistakably tongue-in-cheek, an overt attempt to generate interest from viewers.
Yeah, it seems like you're trying to get... Yeah.
In this particular case, Richard contends that a law enforcement officer went to lengths to deceive a judge. Allegedly, the officer was aware that the BB gun in question was, in fact, a non-lethal fake firearm. Nevertheless, the officer purported it to be real, perhaps in an effort to secure a warrant for Richard's arrest. Notably, despite these claims, the officer faced no consequences due to the lack of concrete evidence.
The cop actually admitted that he lied to a judge, and he knew I had a BB gun, and I made a joke with a BB gun because I accidentally bought a pair of leather gloves. So got the BB gun, said I bought a pair of leather gloves, bang, that was the joke. So he lied to a judge, claimed I had a real gun, got a warrant, and then arrested me.
I guess he doesn't like him very much. I wonder why.
He fucked with me.
It's fucked up either way,
I just
if that's
had this
true.
whole legal rigmarole for like 2 years.
Did you get fired?
No, couldn't prove it. None of it was recorded, so.
Once again, keep in mind, this story is just from Vegan Gains.
So did he actually say that it was fake, or are you just saying... What, did he say it to you? He's like, guess what, Vegan Richard? Liquid Richard? I'm lying right now. I'm not telling the fucking truth, bitch. You know, is that how that went down?
Perspective, the reality could be entirely different. This setback, however, didn't deter Richard in the slightest. Notable figures he found himself in debates with included creators like Matt Dillahunty, Andy Worski, and Vosh. And so, life on YouTube carried on, with his debates and edgy content sparking both intrigue and controversy. It seemed like he was navigating this much as he always had. But then in January of 2019, his YouTube channel was hit with not one, not two, but 3 strikes, leading to its complete termination from the platform. One of these strikes, Richard explained, stemmed from a video in which he poked fun at another creator, targeting their hairy chest and even talking about possible interest in female domination. These comments were clearly in jest, intended solely for comedic effect, but YouTube's automated systems failed to see the humor, resulting in a strike. The other strikes were even more concerning.
Well, I mean, it seems like they overturned it, so I guess they manually reviewed it. But I mean, it depends on how he was jesting. Might have been a little too suggestive.
Richard found himself accused of promoting animal cruelty, an accusation that was pretty obviously the opposite of his MO. In reality, he had included footage from slaughterhouses in his video content, not to endorse cruelty, but to shed light on the realities of the meat industry. Unfortunately, the automated bots who assessed his video seemed to misinterpret his intent, leading to the termination of his channel. Fortunately, he would find a multi-channel network, a conglomerate that comes to the aid of creators facing strikes. And
I never knew that's what MCN meant, a multi-channel network. Wow. The more you know, huh?
Channel terminations. Typically, the way these networks work is that in exchange for a percentage of your YouTube revenue, they give you a bunch of promises and typically don't deliver very much. But in this case, Richard managed to find one that provided him essential support. This network that he joined not only helped reinstate his channel within just 1 month, but also supposedly boosted his content in the algorithm. Just a month after his termination, Richard found himself back...
Well, good for him. How do they boost your content in the algorithm, though? That doesn't really seem likely, but...
in the game, with his monthly ad revenue remaining steady and no significant sacrifices made to reclaim his channel. In April of 2019, a somewhat smaller controversy involving Richard emerged, this time involving fellow YouTuber Onision. To provide some context,
I still have to do a deep dive into that guy. I've never really looked at his shit before.
Richard and Onision had a brief feud earlier centered around a live stream debate on the ethics of veganism versus vegetarianism. Such disagreements were routine for Richard, given his history of debating various individuals on the platform. But this particular controversy in 2019 took a much different turn. It all began when Onision initiated a GoFundMe campaign seeking financial support for a child in need of funds to cover alleged hospital bills. He reached out to several creators, including Vegan Gains, albeit in a private manner through direct messages. Richard decided to examine the GoFundMe campaign closely. He noticed what he saw as various discrepancies between the names associated with the GoFundMe account and those links to the mother's Twitter account, among other suspicious details. unconvinced by the campaign's legitimacy, Richard responded to Onision's DM by basically asking him why he was willing to raise money for a little girl, but not go vegan in order to save.
Well, you know, maybe he likes little girls. I don't know. That's the word around the street is.
Save animals. This guy is so funny, man. Onision countered, persistently requesting a donation. This prompted Richard to reiterate his doubts about the campaign's authenticity while reinforcing his argument.
Why does she deserve to live, but all the cows and chickens you end up paying to have killed do not deserve to? What the fuck? This guy's wild. Holy shit.
Onision then responded by insinuating that the little girl's life held more value than that of any cow or chicken. Richard, in his character,
well, except for Cow and Chicken on Cartoon Network. That is quite a good show. Let's be honest.
Manner replied by asking, but where will the worms and maggots get their protein if they can't eat her dead, rotten corpse? Unsurprisingly, this remark infuriated Onision, leading him to...
Well, I mean, like, but they could eat cow corpses too, and since we throw away a lot of food in America, if anything, you're feeding the maggots. So, kind of a win-win, apparently, by this weird logic we're playing with.
Create a video titled, "I Can't Believe Someone Would Say This," in which he elaborated on the trauma and passionately defended the value of this girl's life. So then, Richard posted his own video, clarifying that he had never intended to donate due to his suspicions about the campaign's legitimacy. He explained that the point he aimed to make wasn't about equivalence, but about acknowledging his own hypocrisy and advocating for saving the girl's life while not adopting a vegan lifestyle.
Cows and chickens are being horribly abused, mistreated, and eventually killed in these industries, and Greg has absolutely no problem supporting that, but he wants to virtue signal to us all that he cares so much about this little girl. Well, okay, if you care so much about the sanctity of life, then why do you not...
Well, I think it's more of people care about the sanctity of, like, human life. You know, they don't really care about animals.
The small amount of effort...
I like animal crackers.
To just not eat these products. If you want milk, cheese, eggs, then why can't you just make a vegan alternative? It's because you're a selfish, lying sack of shit. And the only reason you shared this GoFundMe campaign, the only reason you're trying to slander me in this video is because you only care about yourself and you're coming up with any lies and bullshit that just pops into your head so that you can stop losing subs so quickly.
And to be honest, I don't even know what to say to this. Like, I've almost never heard someone say something so wild on YouTube. Vegan Gains is one of the most entertaining people of all time. As for any subsequent response videos, if they exist, they seem to have disappeared into the annals of internet history, implying that the controversy likely concluded. It's important to note that any traces of edginess associated with Richard were confined to Twitter and not presence in his YouTube response video. The shift in demeanor was likely influenced by the recent termination of his channel, leading him to really tone down everything. Even though Richard has started to veer away from his edgy persona, he wasn't entirely done with it. In the early months of 2020, he released a video titled Eddie Hall vs. Vegan Gains. In this video...
Eddie Hall, damn, dude, he's really fucking, he's shooting his shots wherever he can.
He adhered to his well-established routine of critiquing bodybuilders for their dietary choices, the supplements they endorsed, and various other aspects of their lifestyles. However, it was during this video that he did something that would incite a significant amount of anger and backlash from viewers. About halfway through the video, Richard stumbled upon a Facebook post made by Eddie Hall, in which he shared his experience visiting a child with cancer. Richard decided to read the post, concluding sentences.
Oh, this was somewhat new, right? I had heard about this. Okay.
In a very mocking voice.
Cancer is an almighty killer, and I wish there was a cure for it. I, for one, will be supporting Team Lewis in the future, and hope you guys will too. One day, cancer will be a thing of the past, and the memory of Lewis will live on in the cure when it's found.
Well, Eddie...
Dude, what is up with this guy? But if we figured out how to cure cancer, wouldn't that also stop dogs from getting cancer? That's why I don't want to cure cancer, by the way.
Since we're still waiting for that cure for cancer to be found, how about in the meantime we try and prevent ourselves from developing cancer in the first place? You eat red and processed meat all day, which is classified by the WHO as a cancer-causing carcinogen. Doesn't really make sense for you to eat these foods and promote these foods if you care so much about cancer.
That's crazy. I have to eat more of that. Okay.
And on top of that, you're talking about vegan and vegetarian diets. Oh, they're so yucky and disgusting. Oh, I hate it. Well, guess what? Vegans and vegetarians have a lower risk of cancer.
This action triggered a big wave of outrage, leading to an overwhelming...
Well, now with the Impossible Burger going on, maybe we'll increase those numbers for people, because I'm pretty sure that that's not good, because there's so much processed shit with it.
Barrage of dislikes on the video. It became abundantly clear that a large portion of the audience vehemently disagreed with Richard's approach. Richard, in his defense, contended that he wasn't mocking the child with cancer. Instead, he argued that the target was Eddie Hall himself, who he accused of exploiting the child's illness for views and attention, despite Eddie's charitable contributions to cancer foundations.
I mean, why wouldn't people just argue that you're exploiting the kid too, or that situation too, by using it as a way to talk about veganism? I mean... Okay, I don't know.
On his professional Facebook page, he was promoting this fundraiser for a child who has cancer. Now, to me, it seemed as though he was exploiting the situation and this kid so that he could make himself look better, and he didn't really care about this kid with cancer.
Well, I mean, listen, oftentimes people, like, I'm sure maybe there was a factor of him looking better because he was doing a nice, but okay, then nobody will ever do nice things because they could always optically look better by supporting them. It's like, what the fuck? I mean, people could argue that you're virtue signaling just to bully people too. I don't know.
That was just
Crazy.
what I thought. I could have been wrong. Not saying I'm right, but that's what I thought.
I guess a lot of people would say, like, well, even if he is exploiting him, I mean, the kid still gets benefit, you know, if he raises money for him,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, but that wasn't really my area of concern. My concern was this guy is exploiting somebody who is going through something bad for his own benefit, even if it benefits the person ultimately. And
I feel like that wasn't your perspective at all. I think it's just like, hey, I want to criticize somebody for not being vegan.
turned that into, oh, you're making fun of a kid with cancer. No, I was criticizing somebody who I thought was taking advantage of a kid with cancer.
While Vegan Gains maintained that he was critiquing Eddie Hall's intentions rather than the kid, the video's execution didn't sit well with many viewers, ultimately resulting in this incident going down in history as one of the most infamous moments in Vegan Gains' online reputation. During this period, the Vegan Gains channel was continuing to experience a decline in terms of views and subscribers. However, it wasn't long before one incident would send him right back to the spotlight of
Well, I mean, it seems like he was just trying to get that back. Like, I don't believe that he was criticizing him to be this like altruistic figure. It sounds more like he was criticizing him just to kind of get like a view bump. So
extreme controversy. On March 26, 2020, a YouTuber known as Penguin Zero, or Charlie, took center stage by posting a commentary video criticizing the mukbang YouTuber So Young for a disturbing practice. So Young had gained notoriety for consuming—
Did she like eat fucking live creatures? Holy fuck.
Animals while they were still alive. Charlie's video, in essence, served as a scathing critique of her actions and the ethical concerns they raised. Charlie's main arguments in the video were quite straightforward, but very impactful. He decried the act of consuming animals while they were alive, highlighting the cruelty and inhumanity of such a practice. What added a layer of concern to this controversy was So Young's choice of octopuses as her subjects. These creatures were well documented as very intelligent beings, capable of intricate behaviors. Yet they were subjected to this horrifying consumption on camera, struggling desperately to escape her mouth.
The creatures she chooses to eat alive are the ones that are well documented in being very much aware and alive. For example, the octopus.
I mean, does that matter as much? What are the pain? Do they feel pain in the same way? I feel like that's a big thing. My understanding is that fishies don't feel pain the same way that regular actual people do. So I think that's an interesting thing. You know, it's just something to think about. Run that through the old noodle. So.
Octopus are among the most intelligent creatures we have on the planet. They're up there with dolphins. They have a fully complex nervous system.
Well, you know what? Dolphins rape people, so I don't give a fuck about dolphins. That's a real thing, by the way. They're terrible.
They have as many neurons as dogs do, and they process pain and information in much the same way a dog does. They're able to remember.
Oh, do they? Let's see. Do octopuses feel pain? Okay, yeah, they can feel pain. That's terrible. I mean, I don't know what I'm doing here. Yeah, you shouldn't be eating them alive, so
that kind of information as well.
Being stupid.
So how does she treat an octopus? Well, by devouring it alive as it tries its best to run the fuck away.
Furthermore, Charlie expresses dismay at So Young's content style, marked by constant screaming and grotesque scenes. This style left him deeply disturbed and uneasy, unable to comprehend how such content could garner a massive audience. As is often the case with critical videos on YouTube, Charlie's expose received an overwhelming response. It quickly accumulated 9 million views, resonating with a wide audience that shared his concerns about the treatment of animals and the ethics of creating content around such practices. Now, if you didn't pay attention at all, I don't think it needs to be said what Richard's reaction to this video was, so let's get into his response.
Yeah, why don't you don't really care because you eat animals. I don't eat dogs. I never do that. I would try one though.
She published on April 16th, 2020, about 1 month later, titled Penguin Zero, the Arch Hypocrite. Surprisingly, instead of launching into his typical fiery tirade, Richard actually extends a fair amount of credit to Charlie. He acknowledges Charlie's commendable act of calling out a content creator who was clearly in the wrong.
Good on Penguin Zero for, making a video like this. I'm really glad to see big YouTubers, people with a lot of reach and influence, make videos about animal cruelty, but I was really sad to see that only a few weeks after Penguin made this video, he uploaded a video where he supported animal cruelty. He made a sausage making video.
It actually wasn't Charlie's initial video that got Richard all riled up. It's what came afterward that truly angered him. Charlie, in a subsequent—
He was just sat there waiting. He's like, I gotta wait for him to eat some meat, and then I'm gonna fucking go. I'm gonna get him. I'm gonna get this motherfucker. Is that what happened?
Video decides to embark on a culinary adventure involving sausage making. Now, here's where Richard takes issue. In this sausage making endeavor, Charlie employs using sausage casings, which are traditionally crafted from animal intestines.
Shit.
That's where Richard calls him out, saying that he's a hypocrite.
Sounds like you're using all the animal. Sounds like a smart thing to do.
He argues that Charlie's use of sausage casings contradicts his earlier stance on animal welfare. While Charlie had rightfully criticized So Young for her treatment of octopuses, Richard contends that Charlie, in using animal-derived casings, as well as eating meat in general, indirectly supports the suffering of pigs through the meat.
Yeah, well, I think his point was don't eat it alive, We should just kill piggies more humanely. Kiss them on the lips and then shoot them in the head or something. I don't know.
Industry. Richard goes on to underline the intelligence of pigs, asserting that they're on par with, if not more intelligent than dogs, a point which is supported by scientific studies. He firmly believes that Charlie could have explored alternatives. According to Richard, there are numerous plant-based sausage casings available, and Charlie could have even tried his hand at crafting them at home by following online tutorials. The same logic applies to the chicken that made its appearance on Charlie's video. Vegan Gains' response to Charlie's video undoubtedly stirred the pot, and the dislike bombing that ensued was, in all likelihood, a result of Charlie's significantly larger audience.
Well, I mean, even if you're right again for saying something against Moist Critical, you're still not going to win because he has such a big audience, and this audience is just going to like eat his cum. So I'm not saying that he's wrong. Obviously, he's not wrong. I'm just saying.
This sparked a controversy that Critical himself couldn't resist addressing, and he promptly released a video just a day later. In it, he began by expressing his genuine surprise at how Richard had mellowed out over the years. He recalled his more aggressive approach back in 2016 and contrasted it with the comparatively subdued tone of his recent response. Charlie found this shift quite refreshing and welcomed the fact that Richard was now delivering his criticism in a much tamer manner. That said, Charlie did not let Richard off the hook. He acknowledged that everyone is entitled to their own opinions, and he considered Richard's perspective a valid one. However, he still had some issues. His first point of contention was that despite Richard's improved demeanor, he still believed that vegan gains represented some of the less favorable aspects of the veganism community. This opinion stemmed from the way Richard often avoided insults when addressing others. Charlie then delved into the core of the matter, the comparison between him and So Young. He asserted that the comparison wasn't fair, as his primary concern was the way animals were killed. If, for instance, the place Charlie sources chicken from was engaged in the inhumane treatment of chickens when they were still alive, as opposed to employing the most humane slaughter methods, he would have a significant issue with it. But obviously, such practices were not the case in his video. Charlie also made it clear that he had no qualms with meat substitutes like Beyond Meat and similar products. In fact, he shared Richard's view that these alternatives represented the future of food. At the end, Charlie emphasized that if Richard genuinely wanted to encourage more people to adopt a vegan lifestyle, he needed to adopt a less condescending and more understanding approach toward.
I probably cook lobster. I don't cook it myself. They should kill that bitch before they cook it though, because it's kind of fucked up when they. It's kind of fucked up, you know. They really kill that motherfucker. It's pretty terrible, honestly. It's pretty bad. They don't even. You gotta kill him first, you know. Cooking lobster alive is horrific stuff.
Those who consume meat.
A lot of people in that community go out of their way to try and lecture people or guilt them into joining, which is the worst possible approach to take and only holds it back. The public perception of meat substitutes could be huge right now if the community as a whole didn't keep vilifying them for it. Because meat substitutes taste better. I think objectively, anyone that has had like Impossible or Beyond can say with certainty, it really does just outright taste better.
Later on,
pretty sure like Impossible burgers are not very healthy for you though, like because they're full of preservatives and bullshit. So
the same day, Vegan Gains released a response video, and this time around, he seemed noticeably more upset than in his previous. At the outset of his response, he revealed that he had been live streaming at the same time Charlie dropped his video. To his dismay, his chat was soon flooded with fans harassing him and even sending racial slurs his way. Richard wasted no time claiming that Charlie's community was toxic, and therefore that invalidated some of the criticisms that Charlie had made of Richard being too.
A little ironic because I feel like Vegan Gains audience is probably very toxic as well, but okay, funny stuff.
Extreme. One of Richard's central arguments revolved around Charlie's assertion that killing animals wasn't illegal. In response, he contended that legality shouldn't be the focal point of the debate. He noted that historically there have been instances where actions such as owning slaves was perfectly legal, so appealing to the written law was not a compelling argument in his eyes.
So two really bad arguments here. First argument he made, he said that killing and eating animals isn't illegal. Well, what does that matter? The law doesn't determine morality. At one point it was legal to keep slaves. In Germany it was legal to kill Jews. So is it okay to keep slaves and kill Jews as long as it's legal? No.
Furthermore, Richard took issues with Charlie's point about dogs. They shouldn't support the killing of any animals. To emphasize this point, Richard displayed a picture of Charlie's dog, implying that Charlie wasn't a true animal lover. Additionally, Richard challenged—
Damn, he's punching that animal, dude. That's fucked up. Why would you hit a dog like that? You gotta hit it harder, in my opinion. What the fuck?
Charlie's argument about animals eating other animals. He asserted that Charlie's reasoning didn't hold up because if it were acceptable for animals to consume other animals, then the original So Young video, which featured her, an animal, eating an octopus, which is an animal, should be considered perfectly acceptable according to Charlie's own logic.
Well, I think that Charlie's logic is that like humans are different from other animals because we have critical thought, so that's not really debunked, but okay.
3 days after their initial exchange, Charlie wrapped up the controversy with one final response. Right from the outset, he reiterated his earlier points about how this whole situation reflected poorly on Richard. Charlie emphasized that rather than engaging in a civil discourse free of insults, Vegan Gains was persistently attacking him, which in Charlie's view was detrimental to the image of the vegan community. Charlie also expressed concern that Richard's confrontational approach was turning away potential converts to veganism rather than inspiring them. Charlie then delved into the heart of the matter, presenting his most compelling argument. He posed a thought-provoking question. If eating meat made him a bad person, did that also make Richard a bad person for owning an iPhone? Charlie drew attention to the well-documented issues of child labor and
oh yeah, I think there's nothing that you can touch that doesn't have some kind of oppression attached to it, and you could just not own an iPhone if you don't want to be part of that oppressive force, dude. Or a TV or a computer.
Factories overseas, where regulations and protections are often lacking.
Here's the thing, I ask all the animals that I eat if I can eat them before I eat them. So it's like you guys are complaining and like it's not okay, but it is okay because they say it's fine. They're okay with it. They like it actually. They get turned on by me eating their dead bodies. I think that's how I interpret it.
Vegan Gains' logic, Charlie argued that Richard's ownership of an iPhone could be viewed as supporting these unethical practices. Moreover, Charlie contended that the shirts Richard was selling might be made using cotton produced by child laborers working in difficult conditions, thereby indirectly endorsing child labor and its potential consequences.
You wear a gaming headset during your streams. You realize those parts that compose that gaming headset, a lot of them are made in sweatshops. Very, very immoral means of getting those parts, and you're wearing it freely. So by wearing that, you're supporting that.
Hey, I support children working. Make those kids work. Get them a job. I'm tired of these lazy kids. I think they yearn for the mines, but that's a whole different conversation for a different day. So.
Terrible thing in the world. I'm of course not the only one to make this comparison, but you keep dodging it. On Twitter, a user proposed the exact same thing, and your response was, "Oh, you're just retarded. You're not nearly on the same level of intelligence that I am. You don't know what you're talking about. I'm holier than thou. You're wrong. Look at Foxconn." I don't know if you're joking or if you're actually dumb, but Foxconn actually does use miners at their factories in China. They're being investigated for it. It's pretty well documented. And Foxconn's an extremely terrible place to work that's well known for workers committing suicide. So I don't know why you'd use this as an example to somehow dismiss the argument.
The discussion then circled back to the previous controversy involving Richard's alleged mockery of a child with cancer. While Richard was providing his explanation, Charlie maintained that the optics of Richard's actions still appeared as if he were mocking a child with a serious illness. Charlie concluded the video series—
That's because he was. His bullshit excuse is like not valid. It's just full of shit. It's like it's a skit basically at this point. It's all obviously a lie. He was just looking to virtue signaling about veganism
by suggesting that Vegan Gains was primarily driven by the pursuit of clout and financial gain. He accused Richard of seeking attention and not genuinely believing in the causes he advocated for. He also mentioned that he had considered inviting Richard to appear in a podcast, but ultimately decided against it because he felt that Richard was more interested in attention than sincere debate. It's worth noting that the idea of making YouTube videos for views and attention isn't unique to Vegan Gains. It's a common motivation for every content creator on the platform. As a minority of commenters pointed out, Richard—
Sure, I think a lot of people make content for views. Obviously, I do too, but then there's a selling of your values in some capacity too. I feel like some of these people engage in where they'll just be like they'll do anything for views. They'll say anything or do anything. They'll cross like moral lines just for as much attention as possible. So
his commitment to his ideology has come at the expense of losing connections and popularity, including with someone like Critical, who de-invited him from his podcast. After Charlie's final response video had been posted, it seemed that the controversy had come to an end. Even so, Richard, true to his character, decided to offer his own response a few days later. In this video, he took issue with several points made by Charlie, of course, accusing him of lying and asserting that Charlie was the one primarily motivated by financial gain, not him. One of the central themes of this video was Richard's disagreement with Charlie's argument regarding his t-shirts and their connection to the cotton industry. Richard contended that he didn't approach this issue from a consequentialist moral framework and suggested that Charlie's point was flawed or irrelevant to his view.
All right, so first of all, again, this is a too quick fallacy.
Oh, what is he, a debate pervert? What the fuck? That's what it sounds like, dude.
Charlie is trying to suggest that because it's wrong to farm cotton and because I support the cotton industry, therefore it's okay for him to do something else that's wrong, like eat meat. Again, this sort of reasoning can lead to justifying anything. It could justify the Holocaust. It could justify eating animals alive. So again, why would you end up criticizing so young when you're going to rely on this sort of logical fallacy as the basis of your argument against me?
This is such like cringe debate bullshit. Okay, okay, whatever.
That doesn't make any sense.
Despite Richard's attempts to defend his stance, it seemed that the video was destined for a negative reception, much like many of the previous videos in this controversy. True to form, it received over 22,000 dislikes and was inundated with comments.
Children can't consent to anything? Well, that's like, just factually, you're incorrect. Children can't consent to sex with adults, obviously, but like a 14-year-old can consent to certain things. They can consent to like fucking doing particular actions and doing particular things. They can consent to like medical shit. They have. I know what you're saying, but just I was making a joke before about how animals consent to me eating them, and you guys took it too seriously. But like there are certain kids can consent to reading books. They can consent to hugging. There's a bunch of things that that's how you teach consent, by giving kids the ability to consent to things, not sex, obviously. But like, oh, do you want a hug? That is a question that engages in the conversation about consent with your kid. Oh, do you want to play outside today? That is a consensual conversation. You might be able to override that consent as an adult, but just be clear. I just want you to get that in your head, because what you're saying is is incorrect. It's incorrect. Okay.
Most likely from Charlie's fans who disagreed with Richard's position and the way that he expressed that position. So far, we've explored various individuals.
It's not a fair critique of him, just to be clear, because it doesn't actually. It doesn't address the actual issue. Hey, you think it's bad to kill and eat animals? Okay, well, you also engage in things that increase the suffrage of the world. Well, that doesn't matter. That's basically what he's saying. It's like, okay, sure. You should be like, yeah, good point. But, and then you would go, your better argument would go like, oh, but I think that in this current modern age, I use iPhones or I use computers in order to spread more awareness. So the overall harm is reduced.
Critiquing Richard's views and making claims about him, but we haven't really delved into what Richard's own beliefs actually are regarding veganism. After all the criticism and debate, it's only fair to hear directly from him himself what he truly believes and why he's so passionate.
Why do you feel this way about
I like
animals?
eating
Why do you feel
dogs.
like they deserve
That's
so
what
much,
I
so much
feel like.
empathy, or shouldn't be killed, or we shouldn't eat them when
you should?
I mean, a large
kill
portion of
them.
society, I mean, myself included, eats meat. I don't really feel bad about it. Well, I do feel a little bad about it, but I don't feel that bad about it. Not enough to stop eating it.
Yeah, I don't like injustice. I don't like it when weaker people or beings are kind of like picked on.
Yeah.
I just don't like the idea of that.
I don't believe any of
I think that's why I'm especially sympathetic to animals, because they have no way of even fighting back.
Yeah.
It's like not a battle they can win. And I do believe in the idea of like fundamental human rights, and I believe it's just a logical extension of human rights to grant human rights to animals. So I don't see a meaningful distinction.
I don't think you would ever grant human rights to animals. I can understand being more empathetic, but granting human rights seems a little silly.
Between animals and human beings to where we can take away animal rights and not grant them human rights.
One argument I think people would make is, well, animals are far less intelligent than us. A lot of animals eat each other.
So
Why
silly.
can't we get sustenance from those animals?
Yeah, so I don't think there's any way of making a differentiation that justifies taking away animal rights without also taking away human rights. So if you're going to say intelligence is the defining factor, where because animals are so much less intelligent.
No, dude, my defining factor is that they're animals. I don't give a fuck about intelligence. They're just animals. I don't really care as much. Like, I can get to the point where we do care, but I don't really care that much. So that's my defining factor, personally. Just saying.
You can kill and eat them. Well, there are human beings that have comparable levels of intelligence to, say, a pig or a dog, a cat, or a cow.
Like people with disabilities?
Yeah, so to be logically consistent, you would have to accept the idea of killing and eating people with disabilities, which I think would be wrong.
Yeah, probably most people would disagree with that. Well, what about, like, let's say a species like tigers, right? Tigers eat elk or whatever they eat. What do we do about tigers? I mean, do we kill them?
Yeah, so as long as it reduces rights violations, I'd be in favor of killing carnivorous animals.
That's the fucking dumbest thing I've ever heard. This is so stupid. I think it's perfectly fine to say, like, human beings have alternatives and we think critically, so we should engage in, like, harm reduction. But to say that we should actively kill animals, like killing tigers or whatever, is literally going to disrupt the entire ecosystem. Oh, you kill predator animals that kill other animals. So then what happens? The non-predator animals overgrow and they eat whatever they eat. They just kill vegetation. That's dumb. I understand. This is so fucking stupid. I understand. I get, like, hey, people should make more of an effort. We should be more empathetic, more humanitarian as we move forward. It's a great idea. There's a positive impact on the climate. But dude, what? You're gonna kill fucking tigers? That's insane. That doesn't even make sense. That's going to disrupt the ecosystem. We're going to, if you kill all the tigers, we're going to have to start killing the things that tigers eat, because they will overgrow and destroy the environment. So, like, this doesn't even make any sense. It's so fucking stupid. Okay, whatever. That's fine. I don't care.
If we're going to grant animals human rights, that means the rights would have to be protected not only from human beings, but also other animals.
I guess the question would be, like, so before humans, like tigers and stuff like that existed, they ate each other. And that's part of the ecosystem, like, you know, cycle of life and death. Some animals eat other animals, some animals eat those carnivores, but eventually they die and they turn into soil for the plants or whatever, right? All that energy gets converted. Don't you think that, you know, if you were to kill tigers, then you would have a lot of, you know, potentially invasive species or just overpopulation of whatever they eat?
Not necessarily.
Yes,
not every ecosystem really relies on predatory animals. Yellowstone National Park would be an example. Ecosystem there was doing just fine without
a national park. That's not, generally speaking, what you're saying is so silly.
Wolves. So
okay.
No, not necessarily.
What about the ones that do? Like, let's say
he's just speaking of
Africa or something.
So if it were the case that if you were to kill every lion, say every other species in that ecosystem would die out, then I wouldn't be in favor of killing the lions, because that would just cause more death.
But the lions are going to eat other animals. Isn't that a rights violation?
It is, but you could consider it a greater rights violation to kill the lions if lions are absolutely necessary for every other living thing there to live.
Okay. What about the fact that, like, if you kill all the tigers, let's say hypothetically there was no ecological issue. I mean, then that species is extinct. We can't, you know, we don't access them anymore. They don't exist. They're gone. Is there any?
What if we taught the tigers to be vegan? I think that could work, guys. Has anybody considered that?
Reservations you have about that?
No, look at it this way. If Nazis were a different species and they were out to kill Jews, would you have a problem with Nazis going extinct?
I guess.
You would?
I guess I wouldn't have a problem with them going extinct, but also to me, like, a Nazi is like something you can convince out of it.
Well, I mean, it's a hypothetical, but like the idea is you have a murderous sort of being that's going to keep killing throughout its entire life. Something like that shouldn't exist.
What kind of responsibility do you ascribe to, like, a normal person who eats meat, who maybe doesn't think about it or hasn't thought about it very much? Like, do you see them as a bad person because they haven't thought about it? Do you see them as ignorant, uninformed? Like, how do you?
Yeah, I just see them as ignorant and uninformed. So I don't judge people just on the basis of them eating meat. I judge people on the basis of whether they make good choices given the knowledge they have. So if you know you're contributing to animal suffering by eating meat and you're killing animals with your food choices, if you know that, then yeah, I think you're a terrible person. If you don't and you haven't really thought about it and you're kind of indoctrinated into a society where this is normal, you don't know any better.
I know better. So I know better, and I continue to eat meat because I don't give a fuck. Also, it's expensive. I don't give a shit. I'm fat though, so I guess I can't use that as an excuse, huh?
Purpose be of your YouTube channel then? Is it just to spread your ideas? Is it to have fun? Like, what's the goal?
Well, the goal is to turn people vegan, and I know I rub a lot of people the wrong way, but that's just who I am. And this is my personality. This is how I talk and do things. I think a lot of people, you know, jive with that and respect it. A lot of people don't. So I can't please everybody when it comes to activism and make everybody my friend, so I just be myself.
A few months after the drama with Critical, Richard took an unexpected turn by announcing that he and his wife would be opening an OnlyFans account for those interested in their content.
Whoa! Weird.
Predictably, this move was seized upon by their detractors who promptly created various forms of content to poke fun at him. As we transitioned into the year 2021, it marks the beginning of one of Richard's most recent and substantial controversies. During a live stream, he learned about the passing of another bodybuilder, John Meadows, who had tragically died of a heart attack. Richard reacted to this news by laughing, making disparaging comments about John's child, and even expressing his desire for the child to suffer the same fate.
Well, your son's a piece of fucking shit, just like you, asshole. Yeah, there he is, fucking torturing animals. Yeah, putting a hook through a fish's mouth. Yeah, hopefully he dies of a heart attack soon, too.
His rationale for this was rooted in his disagreement with John Meadows' views on saturated fat being good for health, and he remarked that John died as he lived. Another factor fueling Richard's animosity toward John was the discovery of videos in which John expressed some level of agreement with veganism.
The animosity comes from the fact that he knows that he can be opportunistic and make money off of criticizing people like this. That's all it comes down to. Like, that's it. Because you can make a video where you're like, yeah, John Meadows passed away, and here's a conversation about, you know, why being vegan would be healthier. He doesn't do that. He specifically tries to get rage bait people, so.
Remorse for consuming meat, he had to not make any significant changes to his diet. To Richard, this made John a hypocrite, justifying his mockery of his death.
There was someone...
John Meadows you're talking about.
Yeah.
He had a heart attack.
He had a heart attack and died?
Yeah.
Damn.
Okay. Why did you, I guess, laugh at his death? What about it was funny to you?
Yeah, so John Meadows was promoting this idea that saturated fat is healthy. So he was claiming butter is a health food, palm kernel oil is a health food, very high in saturated fat, and that you should stay away from these poly and monounsaturated plant fats.
You think he believed that for real?
Yeah, and I mean, he died for what he believed in, clearly.
Was he young? How old was he?
He was fair.
Maybe it's his diet. Maybe it's also the fucking PEDs he's putting in him. I don't know. What is a saturated fat? Are saturated fats bad? It sounds bad. What about trans fats? Those are bad. All right. Apparently, it can raise your bad cholesterol and put you at high risk for heart disease. Okay. So I guess as long as you're good cholesterol. Okay, whatever.
Like, I think he was still in his 40s when he died. So he wasn't that old. He was on steroids. I'm sure that might have contributed to it. This was also during COVID, so COVID might have also contributed to it. But he ate like shit. He ate a diet very high in saturated fat. He was also on cholesterol-lowering medication. So his doctors, yeah, they knew his cholesterol was way too high. And I just thought it was funny that this guy who was promoting eating shitty foods died of, you know, the result of eating those shitty foods. On top of that, he actually agreed with the ethical principles of veganism. He made a few videos talking about how he doesn't like seeing animals killed and he feels bad about eating meat. So that also kind of pushed me in that direction of like laughing at his death. This is a guy who, even though he recognized what he was doing was wrong by his own admission, he kept doing it. And I don't see that sort of death as tragic.
Throughout 2021, Richard engaged in increasingly heated political debates, particularly with creators associated with the Red Pill movement. Disagreements and confrontations were frequent, with debates involving figures like John Zerka and Fresh and Fit becoming noteworthy examples of Richard's confrontational political discourse. On January 1st, 2023, Richard took to YouTube to show off all of his pets, emphasizing that he had been exclusively feeding them a vegan diet. Despite the animals appearing healthy in the video, many commenters wasted no time in lampooning Richard, expressing concerns that an all-vegan diet might be detrimental.
I mean, I guess as long as you somehow do it positively and get their new, I mean, there's so many different supplements that you can obviously engage in like a harm reduction for that. So
detrimental to the pet's well-being, sparking yet another round of controversy surrounding his animal advocacy and dietary choices. Richard has found himself embroiled in ongoing feuds with various creators over the years, but one
personally, I think those videos where like they give the dogs like the whole like duck head and stuff, those are fucking crazy, man. Those are fascinating to watch a dog eat like an entire duck head and then like fucking fish come and all this other stuff. It's crazy.
Recent prominent figure in his online conflicts is Hamza Ahmed. Hamza, a fellow lifestyle and fitness YouTuber, promotes a carnivore diet, which stands in stark contrast to Richard's firm advocacy for veganism. Their disagreements go beyond dietary choices, though, extending to the realms of religion and atheism. With
carnivore diet, isn't that a diet exclusively like not plant? I feel like that's unhealthy, right? Eating a mixture is the best. I think eating McDonald's every day is probably the most healthy. That's what I do. Just kidding. I don't eat McDonald's every day. Got to switch it up with that Burger King sometimes, maybe, you know.
Vegan Gains firmly aligning himself with veganism, and Hamza taking the opposite stance. In Richard's view, Hamza is a habitual liar who fails to substantiate any of his claims with scientific evidence. What particularly irks Richard is Hamza's tendency to engage in subtle, humble bragging, where he inserts personal boasts into discussions that have little relevancy to the topic at hand. For instance, Hamza might discuss his romantic conquest while discussing entirely unrelated matters, a habit that has fueled Richard's growing resentment towards him.
Obviously, we don't have to go over all of them, but what would be like the top one guy that you think sucks in the fitness community that you like to talk about?
Probably Hamza. Hamza Ahmed.
You've been talking about him a lot. He's sort of a red pill, sneako-ish guy.
Yeah, he doesn't like calling himself red pill, but he's essentially part of the red pill community, maybe more specifically the male self-improvement community.
What do you see as bad about Hamza?
Yeah,
just about everything. He's incredibly ignorant. A lot of the advice he gives is either dead wrong, misleading, inaccurate. He does not say anything that's remotely close to being supported by science. He's dishonest. He lies a lot. So yeah.
How come I can't see like the potential debates that they're having together? Oh, well, that didn't do anything. Fuck.
There's a number of reasons.
Like, why did he remove all this stuff from his own channel?
I don't like him.
Is there like a specific thing that pissed you off about him at first, or something that you could name right now that like would be like, oh, this sucks?
Yeah, he makes it up. He'll make up stupid stories and relate it to, I don't know, some sort of moral that he believes in, but he likes to do things like humble brag and say, you know, I really support marriage and, you know, not being promiscuous, being in a committed relationship, and then he'll say things like, I broke up with this girl and I was so sad, so I like f***ed all these women and I had like all these threesomes and oh, I was so degenerate. Like,
you didn't do that?
No, it's
sounds like you're a little jealous, bro.
It's an intentional humble brag to say, oh, I had sex with so many women, but don't do that. That's bad.
Okay. Recently, Vegan Gains has significantly...
You seem like really pedantic. Like, okay.
Increase his presence on channels like Destiny, where he frequently engages in conversations, often revolving around veganism or broader political subjects that Richard is passionate about. These interactions have produced numerous entertaining and sometimes contentious clips, with some portraying Richard in a less than flattering light.
You can eat lobsters too. Just a chain of ganglions, no central brain.
No, lobsters have a brain. Lobster brain. So they do have a brain. The lobster nervous system is very primitive, most similar to a nervous system of an insect. They literally...
Yeah, aren't they just big insects? Fuck that. I'm eating the fuck out of them. Fuck those assholes.
Really are insects. But lobsters and other invertebrates have only approximately 100,000 neurons, while humans have over 100 billion. They do have a brain and nervous system, and there is actually, I think recently there was a big paper published proving that they do feel pain, and they at least have conscious experiences.
Another huge hit is probably the swaggiest rap song I've ever heard in my life. Take a listen, folks.
This is another public service announcement. You can believe it, or you can doubt it. Let us begin with the cow, the way it gets to your plate and how. Cow doesn't grow fast enough for man, so through his greed, he makes a faster plan. He has drugs to make the cow grow quicker. Through the stress, the cow gets sicker.
And it makes your dick bigger if you eat it. Just so you guys know, that's a fact that I made up just now. But that's just is what it is, brother.
21 different drugs are pumped into the cow in one big lump. So just before it dies, it cries. In a slaughterhouse full of germs and flies, off of the hand they pack it, brain it, and can't.
Nevertheless, Richard continues to live stream, remaining unafraid of diving into disputes.
I love it. I just don't understand why he doesn't like post his clips onto his thing. That's the thing I don't really understand. It says 3 weeks ago was the last time he posted. How come he's not posting more frequently if he's live streaming? Does he just leave the live up? No, it seems like he takes it down. Kick or keep debate. All right, whatever. Do your thing, brother.
With others, ensuring that his online presence remains alive. As time marches on, it's clear that Vegan Gains' propensity for online arguments and debates shows no signs of subsiding. His streaming endeavors and confrontations with content creators will probably persist forever, but it is worth noting that his content has been toned down quite a bit with the current age of YouTube. Not to say he's stopped his comments altogether.
I stand by what I said, if not more so. Don't think he was a good person.
There's no way I'm losing this.
Glad the guy's dead.
Whoa!
He
crazy.
Was knowingly and willingly harming animals when he knew it was wrong. So good. One less animal abuser left alive.
But even with all that being said, most of what I've gone over here is publicly available information about Vegan Gains. As I said, I managed to physically meet Vegan Gains in person and film him over the course of 2 days. So, where's
the rest of the thing? I wonder if he was behind his Patreon or something.
The internet's most psychotic vegan like in real life.
Today, we are meeting with psychotic vegan YouTuber Vegan Gains.
I fucking hate children.
I'm honestly kind of nervous to hang out with him today because he says crazy stuff. Probably never gonna find someone quite like him online. I'm just personally very excited to film with him and see what's up. Hopefully make a good video. Hopefully not end up in the hospital or worse, because he's big. Like I don't think people realize how big he is. He's like 6'2", 3 maybe, and like 250 pounds. He's just
pretty big guy. Damn, he's pretty scary stuff, dude. Pretty scary guy.
Giant. He's massive. It's horrifying. I'm a little bit nervous, not gonna lie. But it should be. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. What kills you is probably named Vegan Gains, right?
Meeting Vegan Gains was unlike meeting anyone I've met before in my life. He is awkward, but he's not particularly intimidating or confrontational like you may expect from his videos. Instead, he honestly seems pretty shy. Like not actually greeting you when you meet him or shaking your hand. He didn't directly disrespect me or anything like that. I think he's just, awkward. He's weird.
I don't like infant children.
Yeah, they scare me.
They scare you?
Yeah.
They scare. I never understood the baby thing. I thought it was like a joke at first when I saw the video. You'd be like, I want to put my foot through the.
Yeah, I don't hate children, but they scare me.
They scare you.
I don't know. They have like big eyes, weird smooth heads, creepy little toes. And
I hate kids. I had a kid like my wife's like niece and nephew, which I guess, or two nieces. I guess that makes them my nieces now, because whatever. They're fucking. They're beating the shit out of me the other day. They're fucking 8 and 10 or 7 and 9 years old, and we're playing like a game. And they're just like, in order to try to help win, the other one's dive bombing me and like attacking me while I'm playing the other one. We're playing like what is it, the hockey thing, the tilt hockey, whatever the fuck it's called. I don't remember what it's called, but you understand my point. And they both are fucking beating the shit out of me while I'm playing my wife. The game was crazy. When he Googled if lobsters have brains and started to read the first result, he skipped the line where it said they don't have brains. Oh, really? They don't have brains? That's fucking. Wait, hold on. Do lobsters have brains? They don't have brains. How the fuck? How do you live? What the fuck does that even mean? Wait, do insects have brains? How the fuck do you not have a brain? I don't even understand. I don't care. That's fucking crazy.
What is the age cutoff for like now they become tolerable?
Like, I used to work at a hockey camp, and I had like some kids who were 6 and older who were pretty cool.
I don't know how intentional it was, but I definitely felt like he owned me by pulling up in a green motorcycle and demanding that I sit in the sidecar. Over text, I actually suggested that I could drive my car, but he was like, "Oh no, Tom, listen, you'll love the sidecar." Anyway, we went to the gym.
It's better for the environment, dude. Less emissions. Okay, you gotta understand that.
And that's when I realized how truly big this guy is. It's also probably worth noting that Richard has an OnlyFans. I was a little confused about what he was doing there. Well, thankfully in the locker room. Okay, not like that.
That's probably, he's like, hey, just make sure you mention that we have an OnlyFans. You know, I got to make that money, baby. But, okay, I respect
inform me that he just likes playing with his ding dong on video, not mine.
Have you considered doing?
Huh?
Have you considered doing like actual?
Well, like I do full nudes and play with my ding dong on camera, so it's like actual.
Okay.
One of the strongest points that Critical or Charlie made against Richard was that Vegan Gains will, on one hand, condemn animal products and wish that anyone who consumes them would slip on a karmic banana peel, but he doesn't seem to take issue with computers and iPhones, both of which have had scandals around the poor condition of their workers and unsafe production lines.
Made that video addressing a controversy, talking about the video Vegan Gains made about me, calling me a hypocrite for eating meat. You wear a gaming headset during your streams. You realize those parts that compose that gaming headset, a lot of them are made in sweatshops.
People talk about child slaves working for computer companies. How do you kind of, I guess, rationalize that in your mind?
Like computers, like maybe in mining of like rare earth minerals.
Elon Musk, shout out.
Yeah, you don't know what's going on in the supply chain, and buying a computer isn't necessarily unethical. There's a way to somehow prevent buying a computer that used slave labor. Obviously, I would. But when it comes to animal products, you know it's necessarily required.
Every animal product.
Yeah, every single animal product. It's necessarily required to abuse an animal.
And the abuse to you is the killing as well.
I would say murder's abuse.
Like a lot of people say like humane, there's like humane animals that are raised and killed, right?
Yeah, I mean, you could in theory raise an animal humanely, but you can't humanely murder. I don't think there's such.
I mean, I think you can humanely kill an animal. You know, you just real quick. You don't boil it alive. That's pretty humane to me. Just saying, dude. That's it.
Would you get bicep flex Vegan Gains?
Yeah, sure.
That's crazy. Are you sure you only eat soy?
Yep.
You ever seen a soy boy like this? 2 chickens saved. Just saved 2 chickens. This guy's very big. Even on camera, it might not show up, but he's huge. 1 cow saved. 2 cows saved. 3 cows saved. We're about to save the whole family. 4 cows saved. 5 cows saved. Call you to 6. 6 cows saved. He's going for 7. 7 cows saved. 8 cows saved. Their families were screaming in agony. Cows were going, whoa! He saved them. They're fine. Like 1 plate, maybe?
How many? No, I think a 25 and a 10.
Okay. You just low bro'd me. He just said, no way, low bro. No way, low bro. If I get cancer, will you make a video? Actually, I'll give you permission if I get cancer to make a video laughing about my death. Because I eat meat. Can you do that, like, honorarily?
I'll do that for you.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
Despite leaning left politically, Vegan Gains stated that he's never voted in a primary election, and personally, he does not put a lot of stock in the Democratic Party. In fact, in the next Canadian election, he apparently plans to vote Conservative.
I haven't voted yet in a federal election. I'm probably going to vote Conservative this time, though. So the Liberal Party and the NDPs are just completely and utterly ineffective. The best chance to solve major issues like housing is going to be voting Conservative because the Liberals aren't doing anything, and neither are the NDPs. You can't get anywhere with Liberals and NDPs, so it's like, okay, I'll take a chance with Conservatives, right?
Really lifting the door to let the chickens release from the chicken factory. What kind of metal?
All sorts of stuff. Rammstein, Metallica, Poopy Doop, a lot of different bands.
Poopy Doop?
Say Poopy Doop? What the fuck is Poopy Doop? What the fuck?
Yeah, a lot of different bands.
Wait, you just make that up? Yeah, the joke?
Like Death Clock. I like Death Clock.
Like Poopy Doop's not real, right?
No.
Yeah. It's like Ding Dong.
Yeah.
You listen to Poopy Poop while playing with your Poopy Doop while playing with your Ding Dong.
Yeah.
You didn't even laugh at your own joke.
What the fuck is happening? Is Tom just like super nervous or something? This is so fucking weird. The way he's talking is bizarre as fuck.
It's hard to make me laugh.
Is it?
Yeah.
Can your wife make you laugh?
Sometimes, yeah.
Poopy Doop. I was on the phone with the Tyson guy before he came to the gym. He said if Vegan Gains can't do 6 on his last set, they're all gonna die. If it was legal, would you?
Yes.
Like which, would it be like any meat eater or like specific meat eaters?
Anybody who'd refuse to stop.
So would you like capture them at gunpoint?
Yeah. Yeah, try to convince them. If they refuse, then, you know, bang.
Well, are you gonna tell me that you're gonna kill me? Because if you say I'm not, if you're like, oh, I won't kill you, I'll be like, I'm gonna eat meat. But if you're like, I will kill you, I'll say, oh, you know, I'm not gonna actually. I was kidding. It was a joke.
Like the Punisher.
I was a jokester.
What would your
the whole time.
superhero name be?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like vegan.
The vegetable.
The vegetable. The vegan crusader.
Yeah,
The
or
vegetable.
Cat Dad.
Cat Dad. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Veggie boy.
How do you feel about pescatarian? That's what I think. Well, they're eating fish, right? And they still eat like dairy and eggs.
You told me something to the effect of like having traits of antisocial personality disorder.
Yeah.
What traits would those be?
Sadism.
Would you like to be held down and get your head cut off with an
Lack of empathy for other people.
But you have high empathy for animals and stuff.
Yeah,
Like
I have high empathy for animals, and I'm also like not manipulative. Like I can just absolutely beat the shit out of somebody, sleep like a baby, not think about it.
I grabbed the kid's neck and I was about to try to kill him.
Have you beat the shit out of someone?
Yeah.
You seriously hurt them?
Yeah, I lent him some video games.
It just kind of seems like the rest of this is them just having a conversation I'm not necessarily interested in. So yeah, I mean that was an interesting video. Cool beans. I think that's enough of this though. It's just them kind of having this little IRL jerk off fest. But yeah, interesting video. Fun to see who Vegan Gains is.